Wine for your foot makes you can't keep up with everybody. Oh, you're full of crack and you can keep up with the energy. What a epic take a big meditate like a memory. Real man, you have to take it up. Just get in a the position and boss one. Never you forget this is your mission. You take a girl when you want it in a condition and boss one. Take a sip and do the inhibition. Coming in the biggest to start my ignition. See you swinging it and this is my ambition. Me give you the legit love, make you turn and twist and me give you this thing, make you balance and grip on.
Go down there, why not go down there? Go down there, why not go down there? Go down there, why not go down there? Go down there.
Body right, body clean, body fresh. Body ready, body hot, full of flesh. Sweater drip through glove with the mesh. Body not dead like a man. When me bring it body right, boy, catch it on the left. Won't beat like cardiac arrest. Into gym, me lift with the best. When you see me, I be born is a miracle to me body bless. Me ball boy, when me lift it up again, the pressure hotter than the paprika. You think you make me ball boy? When I lick up the pressure for me, for me, for me, for me, for me. Every day trying to just come up with love. But you are calling me when you're something for love. Give me the pressure you want to get it for me, for me, for me. When you full of fear now, when you muscle up. And as I tell you full of the good stuff. From you know you want us to pick one back it up. And make you go ooh, 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 my belly. Ooh, 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 my belly. Ooh, 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 my belly. I still love vibrate like a silly. Look how me catch from his own back stand me head. In a the dance me a go and do not get it red. On the rhythm me a beat like a lead. Me don't sing more shit so me nah no bed. Under fire me the under fire. Under fire me the under fire. Under fire me the under fire. Under fire me the under fire.
And the bed you fi bang it again. And if you take it and do just slam it again. Bubble, bubble, dig up, and I show again. Bubble, bubble, dig up, and I rip a bed.
You know I'm and them other girl ready, me say. I know you see this bumper left, yeah. Caution sign, cause me will damage you. Better brace yourself when me back it up. Cause my bumper heavy. Them can't believe, oh my God, all this song in all my jeans. Them want for marry me fast, my enemies. And me and the fatty bum when them need. Yeah, come give me that love. It's a rap when my wine go down low. Top of that, act like so you tough. Ain't gotta ask if I make you nervous. You know I'm happy, yeah. And them other girl no ready, me say. I know you see this woman, let's yeah. Caution sign, cause me will damn it up. Better brace yourself when me back it up. Cause my bumper
OMG in the morning.
Saying good morning to you once again. This is OMG in the morning, saying a special good morning to those of you locked on with us on Facebook. Good morning, Mervin, locked on early. Shady, say good morning to Mary and everyone on the live.
I ain't telling Mary good morning. Morning, Allison. Morning,
Trouble in
Antonia.
Paradise. Mary, good morning to you. Don't bother with him. Velma, I thought everybody knew. Mario is what's Mario? Mario is
Canada.
yes.
Mario's wrapped up right now.
Yes, he is.
After
Mario
after all of the
Mario has
village
traveled.
drum and nuts,
Nuts and ram.
nuts are all that, after all that nuts and
But he did give us his word that he's gonna log in from time to time.
Mario have up his no disturbance sign right now.
Mario is with his family, and we're sure he is enjoying that time. Antonio said, pray for Mario. Why? That's a good thing. It's a good thing that he's with his family. What happened? Come on.
I,
Hey.
I couldn't get on dance cam this morning, so I tried to message Mario. Mario's like, yo, you know what I mean? Don't you see the sign? No disturbing.
At least he answered. Mario, that means that you could join us from tomorrow. Just saying. I know you're listening.
Say after his birthday. Well, should it be Tuesday when the Thursday is his birthday?
Exactly. So
Yeah.
Friday he's,
Well, you
he's
will
gonna
have
be
to
with us.
join us on Thursday. Thursday's the birthday. You will have to join us. On
Yeah, right. Mario ain't joining nothing for his birthday. You crazy? All right. So Velma is locked on as well, listening from New York. Good morning to you. Hi Cam, how you doing? Claudius, good morning to you as well.
Antonia,
Lloyd, what's
morning.
up? How you doing? Let us know where you're locked on from. How you feeling this morning? Also on WhatsApp, you can shout us up on WhatsApp as well. Let us know where you're locked on from. I gotta quickly remind you that you can be a part of everything that's going on here, the evolution on air and online. You can like and follow us on Facebook, also on Instagram as well as YouTube. We are Boom SVG 1069. And guess what? We on Twitch too, you know. You just gotta follow us at Boom 1069 SVG. You good?
PVI. Yeah,
Locked on?
Yeah, maybe messages.
Continue, because you can do the shout outs while I do the scripts.
Claudius locked on in PVI.
Morning. All right, and remember Max Pizza and Kitchen in Beckway, they're introducing Vinci Pizza Delivery. Best thing that ever happened. What you say, Shady?
Come on.
Best thing that ever happened is this Vinci Pizza Delivery, and it happens every Friday. All you got to do is place your order by 10 p.m. on Thursday via call, or you can send a WhatsApp message to 528-1849. That's between 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Or you can call the restaurant at 458-3474 between 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. Tell me, what happened there?
Not Kim asks why it doesn't emphasize Antonia's name, so. Because she does say she doesn't hear when we pick her up.
So
I
you
have to make
sure
hear
you
we
put
picking
some
her up.
back into it.
Yeah. Good morning, Antonia.
All orders from Max will be delivered by a Max representative the following Friday at the Wharf for 5:30 p.m. on time, prompt upon the arrival of Beckway Express. All right, so you're getting your pizza the very next day, and trust me, it is most definitely worth it. I got something else to let you know about. District Stairs, you got to check them out. If you're looking to update your floors, District Stairs can provide you with an affordable alternative luxury vinyl planks. It's a new hot trend in flooring design. You ever heard of it, Shady?
Yep.
You did?
I'm doing my downstairs just now, so.
So Marlon, you're getting some business. What you saying? It's easy to install, durable, has a lifetime warranty, comes in a wide array of colors, and is suitable for every room in your home, every single room, including your downstairs, Shady. You got to get this, okay? You got to get this. Make sure you contact District Stairs today and ask about the free shipping that's available during the month of August to SVG. Contact number to call or WhatsApp is 289-200-7649. You can also check them out online. Their website is districtstairs.com, or you can just search for District Stairs on Facebook. Don't you miss out on that. So I'm going to try to bring us the COVID updates.
I see. I think you see like it down to like 50,
I
57.
know, right?
We outside.
Shady. You need to be named Zest King, I think.
Outside.
And now my Wi-Fi is not working. So we're gonna bring you that COVID update as soon as this decides to work with me this morning. I think I saw 2 updates. One was 0 cases and one was 2 cases or something like that. Very low numbers, which is a good thing. And I heard somebody saying, look at the numbers how they're going down, and then they're telling us to take the vaccine. I said, Lord have mercy, Lord have mercy. Even though so many people are outside. All right. So let me pull it up here. It says no new COVID-19 cases. No new COVID-19 positive cases were reported from 70 samples processed on Sunday, July 18th, 2021. No new recoveries were noted over the reporting period. All right. 54 cases are currently active. How you feel about that? That's a good number for you, Shady. You like that? 54?
We get in there.
We get in there. 54 cases are currently active, and 12 persons with COVID-19 have died. 2,263 cases of COVID-19 and 2,197 recoveries have been recorded in St. Vincent and the Grenadines since March 2020. So Shady's basically saying we outside. I don't know, Shady. That's still kind of reckless. And if you want to go and get your vaccine still, well, listen to Shady. Shady already went for his. Which one you got? AstraZeneca. And I know a number of persons have been uneasy with that particular vaccine. So guess what? We now have the Sputnik V vaccine. If you want to take that, if you're not comfortable with the AstraZeneca, you have an option. Where can you get your first dose of the Sputnik COVID-19 vaccine? You can get it at Latham Health Center in Mesopotamia. You can call ahead at 458-5245. You can also get it at the Community Nursing Services Public Health Building in Kingstown, and you can call ahead at 485-6133. That's from Monday to Friday, so not on weekends, unfortunately. Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's important to note that while walk-ins are accepted, you are encouraged to call ahead of time to give sufficient notice so that everything will run quickly and smoothly. Ensure that you walk along with a form of photo identification. So, for example, that's your license, your ID card, your passport. All right, we got anybody else here joining the live? Yes, Dwayne Sputnik is here. Allison, good morning to you. Dishon, good morning as well. I now see what Kem was telling you. I saw, and I don't know if you saw it as well, Shady. Something with a child that's missing.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm trying to find it so that we can give out the information. I think it's important for us to do that. Monique, yeah,
I think I sent it in.
You sent me here, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna give you this information because it's very important that she's located. 11-year-old schoolgirl missing. That's the headline. It says an 11-year-old Brighton girl was yet to return from school at 8 p.m. on Monday. Her mother told Eyewitness News. How do you pronounce that name? Missing is Bassiana McDonald, a student of C.W. Prescott School in Kingstown. She's 11 years old. Nats is asking. She's 11 years old. The child was last seen after school at the bus stop outside the Peace Memorial Hall in Kingstown. She was wearing, please listen closely, she was wearing blue jeans and a blue primary school bodice of the type worn by students of her school, as seen in the photograph. So you can go on to Eyewitness News and you will see a photograph of her. Such a cute little girl. Breaks my heart. The bodice, however, did not have the school logo. The child's mother, Nicole McDonald, is asking anyone with further information about her whereabouts to contact her at telephone number 528-5606. Again, that number is 528-5606. or to contact the nearest police station. So please, 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 keep your eyes open, keep your ears open. We really got to find this 11-year-old young lady. All right, so we're gonna jump out for a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna talk some things. I'm gonna talk some things, Shady. You're gonna talk some things. We're gonna talk some things. All right, we're gonna jump out quickly and do this and come back with more.
Turbulent times teach us the meaning of dependence. We are all dependent on each other to see each other through these trying times. We are reminded to care. GECU introduces our Care Loan, CARE, comprehensive assistance and relief for essential workers, an offering of financial reinforcement to those who care for us. The GECU Care Loan allows for all essential healthcare workers to borrow up to $50,000 to get themselves back on a firm foundation. The GECU Care Loan offers the absolute lowest rate for consumer loans in SVG at just 8.5% and gives you the flexibility of a full 7 years to repay. For more details, visit any of our branches nationwide or our main branch in Kingstown. Your job is to take care of others. Our job is to take care of you. Offer ends June 2022. Terms and conditions apply. So come on into GECU because GECU cares for you.
As we face these challenging times,
Stop what you're doing! We kids have something to say! Run the track! Get to know the track, let's go! It has 9 letters that rule! Strawberry, chocolate, banana, cherry, they all taste so cool! Get to know the track, let's go! Tastes so good like a milkshake! Add more spoons, add to the flavor! Let's go! We got to get right! Get to know the track, let's go! Packed with protein, helps us grow! Parents, listen to your kids because get to know the track, let's go!
It's time to get primed for the summer with Digicel. Now's your chance to catch your share of $30,000 cash. 4 winners will be selected weekly to catch their share of cash in the Digicel Cash Vault. It's so easy to qualify and win. Activate a free 7 or 30-day Digicel Prime bundle. Make the switch to Digicel. Pay your postpaid bill in full or bundle your postpaid account with Digicel Fiber Internet. Or when you sign up for your Digicel Fiber Internet. Every week in summer, you get a chance to catch your cash. Get primed for the summer. Let the good times roll with Digicel. Digicel. Prime for the summer. Digicel terms and conditions apply.
Here we go.
Boom Summerfest is on.
Are you ready?
The biggest songs of the summer in a head-to-head battle. Every shift, every day.
Never stop if you wanna be on top.
Vote for the biggest song of the summer. Vote for the biggest artist of the summer. The toughest mic men and the biggest DJs in SVG. Playing all the party anthems and hits all day and all night.
Low waist, fat, baby, tap in.
We turn the heat.
Tap in.
Talk English, Spanish, and French. Who let the dogs out?
Let the dog out. Let the dog out. As we play the best dance hall, hip hop, and soca in the Boom Summerfest. Who will rule the summer with the biggest party anthems? The Boom Summerfest is on.
Come on,
The National Lotteries Authority introduces the Lotto app for all Android and iPhones. Your free download available at nlasvg.com. Whether it's home, work, or simply having fun, get all NLA game results at your fingertips. View all draws of the National Lotteries Authority on your handset or tablet with the user-friendly Lotto app. Download today at nlasvg.com. The Lotto app.
The Boom Summerfest is on, playing all the party anthems.
Oh God, oh God, oh God. Watch it.
You want me sugar daddy?
Of course you're fine and sweet. Of course you're fine and sweet. Of course you're fine and sweet.
Sugar daddy?
Of course you're fine and sweet. Of course you're fine and sweet. Of course you're fine and sweet.
Every girl
sure they could depend on believing. Oh God, oh God, oh God. If I hot like the sun, he go pour a bucket of sweetness on me. Oh God, oh God, oh God. I don't need your money, honey. I just want your ways. If you insist on spending on me, I go take it step. Nobody don't know we business. Only two will be hearing this. And it's time to think that you are sweeter than. Think that you are sweeter than. You sugar, sugar daddy. Of course you find it sweet. Of course you find it sweet. Of course you find it sweet. You sugar, sugar daddy. Of course you find it sweet. Of course you find it sweet. Of course you find it sweet. You find that I want, but you insist on giving me everything. Okay, that is why at your front I just cannot stay for we late night meetings. Okay. I don't need your money, honey. I just want your ways. But if you insist on spending on me, I go take it step. Nobody don't know with business. Only two will be hearing this. And it's time to think that you are sweeter than. Think that you are sweeter than. You sugar daddy. Of course you find it sweet. Of course you find it sweet. Of course you find it sweet. You sugar daddy. Of course you find it sweet. Of course you find it sweet. Of course you find it sweet.
OMG in the morning.
You're live with the OMG in the morning crew, and we have I can't call him the
Real
Batman.
bad man. Real bad man. Say it. Real bad man. Tell it say because she wants it. Say shit.
You know,
Real bad man.
it's not coming out.
Real bad man. Boy, she going to say the real boss man, but it's all right.
Exactly.
Good morning, guys. How you all doing?
I heard you're upset this morning.
Well, not really upset. I just saw something going to get me cry. It's crowded. It's crowded to tell Jomo.
Yes,
Cra-
Cra.
Yeah. Something. So you ready to come and make before anything get going this morning? Just a minute, don't worry. Just a minute. Just one. Please. Come now, 1 minute, please. 1 minute.
You have your water
Please.
by the side.
No, let me go get.
You need to have your water before you go and start it. You see, we don't need to see all of this extra stuff in the camera. Good morning, Nats. Good morning to Purnell. And Gail, good morning to you. I think and Donna, good morning to you. All right, you ready now? Okay,
Thank
go.
you for that. So yesterday I listened to the New Times program. You all know what the New Times program is. That is
Yeah.
the NDP program. And I like to listen to Dr. Friday when he starts the week because I get to hear a lot of stuff happening as per usual. So I listened to him yesterday, and he did this very nice thing with Suso, which was really nice, nice little thing. But coming down to the end of his presentation yesterday, the leader of the opposition, our main opposition party in SVG, announced that the NDP will be having a protest on the 29th of this month. Right? I thought that it maybe have been a mix up and it may have been a recording from the last time because the last protest was on the 29th as well. So I thought it may have been some kind of mistake or something. But then I heard him said, and those of you who promised me that you were going to come the last time are looking to see if you're coming out. And he chuckled a bit, made it into a lighter moment. But you may wonder where I'm going with this. Where I'm going with this, right? I know, and I see you smiling, Dan. And Sherry laughed because you guys may wonder where I'm going. Where is he going with this? The NDP is planning protest action on the 29th. The NDP also said in their last protest action that they're calling for fresh elections. In other words, they want to have fresh campaigning and fresh this. In other words, the process of elections where they go through campaign and this and that and all of that. The NDP calling for fresh elections. And yesterday, the leader of the NDP announced massive protest action in SPG on the 29th. Now, I do not know, and I keep saying Dr. Friday, a decent person, I know him, and if you have to have leadership based on one's character, Dr. Friday will definitely be my prime minister. But I wonder, when Dr. Friday talks about fresh elections, when he come off the boat, when he come from Beckway, what side he just go? How he just get to the NDP headquarters? Does he walk? And if he walk in, he just walk. Or did they pick him up and drive him straight to the headquarters? Because if he walk in, maybe he walk, take the road and come up by Musty Company, that side there, and he come out and he go straight up the road. So I'm bad this morning, my direction. maybe he don't go down post office if he walk in and walk through post office and go up. And if he does, maybe he walks through Girls High School. I'm saying if he walk and he goes to the NDP headquarters, maybe he has no reason at all to walk down by the old 75 building and go across this small bridge and go up by Mahogany Bar and go up there. And I'm saying maybe no member of the leadership of the NDP, none of them, Major Leacock, who else did it? That represents in the country. No, nobody else. Fitz Bamber, who is the rep for East Kingston, maybe none of them there at all. Just pass through by the road, by what is called over the name that help me there. By Prescott. It's
TW
Prescott. None of them don't drive through the road there and come through the back of the Ministry of Agriculture and go past prep school. Because if anybody used to do that, they would see clothes hanging out in the yard there. Clothes hanging out in the yard because people are washing clothes and hanging them there. Because their families who are still using the school as shelter. What helping them with this? How could you be calling for a fresh election when there's still people who are displaced and in shelter? How? So them people there that they in the shelter, them people there, what happened to them there? How could you be calling for fresh election? What's a shady?
They have to come out and wait.
I mean, how could you be calling for fresh elections when you see all kind of video above the dry river in the red zone, the condition of the people there up there? You hearing all kind of, I mean, it makes you want to cry when you hear the condition of the people up there in the red zone, up inside the bay and nowhere. But you want your elections in them times there. How could you be calling in fresh elections when we are in a state of pandemic? But you want fresh elections. No, who advising Dr. Friday? Who advising him? Who advising Dr. Friday with regards to these protest actions? Barbados? Right now, Barbados shut down. Barbados is in curfew right now. Barbados is the hub that most people use to pass through to come to St. Vincent. We heard that the most dangerous strain of COVID in the world is now in Barbados. We heard that as a result, the Barbados government have gone into curfew, decided to take the nation into curfew. But in St. Vincent, we jamming still. We jamming still. We want to have protests because we want fresh election. Dr. Friday he not in touch. Is he not in touch? Is he not thinking? Or is it that he's not connected with what is happening on the ground? And you know that Daniel and Shady, there are some nasty people in this world. Nasty. Yesterday, I went on to our live and I saw one particular person on the live who cursing hell hard Dr. Thompson and Stephen because of their position on vaccine and trying to get people vaccinated. She cursing him, but she already took her vaccine. Gunny Hines, I'm talking to Gunny Hines, yes. You told me, Gunny Hines, you took your vaccine already in New York City. But you did cursing when others are trying to encourage other people to take the vaccine. You are a nasty snake, Gunny Hines. And these are the people who poor people listen to. These are the people that poor black people listen to on social media, Gunny Hines and them. They on every live. They did everywhere like an icebox. They in every live infecting it, spreading the nonsense and trying to encourage people not to take the vaccine. When she told me that she already took her vaccine in New York City. You hear me?
Did you specifically see her say not to take the vaccine?
Yes, Dan. I specifically, this is why I'm speaking about her. I saw her. She cussing, she ranting. Even when Mr. Weeks calling, where he going? Where he ain't go? You know? And she cussing, she ranting. Hear me? Yes, I saw her. This is not the first time. But with her and people like her, it's political. You hear me? It is political. It's all about politics for her, for Gunny Hines. That's why I'm calling her name. She told me she took her vaccine.
Gunny Hines. Who are you talking about? Who's he talking about? Gunny Hines?
Yes, she knows. She listening. She listening. She changed up her name. Her name is not Gunny Hines right now.
Okay.
The point is, Daniel, she infecting every life, right? When it's not in the favor of the NDP, she cussing the people and them. So, for example, Stephen and Dr. Thompson, they're pushing vaccine. She cussing them. Mr. Weeks called yesterday. She cussing him. But she already took her vaccine. But you know something that I also thought about yesterday. Not yesterday. A lot of them don't believe in the vaccine. And so not taking the vaccine. But a lot of them will be coming out to protest action. While we have the most dangerous strain of COVID right there in Barbados. Right there in Barbados, you know. They wear no mask, but they can't social distance. Right? While the leadership of the NDP, not the leadership, the leader, Dr. Friday, and his entire family took the vaccine. He did it openly on camera so that everybody could see. He didn't come and say he took the vaccine. You know. Dr. Friday went and took the jab. It was documented. He and his wife and his son. Hear me? But there are others. There are others out there, and they know who I'm speaking to. Those are the ones who are out front, and those are the ones you're gonna see out front in the protest action on the 29th. They are the ones who are going counter to what the leader of the NDP is saying when it comes to the vaccine. Right? But we want fresh elections. That is what they want. They don't care. They don't care who gets sick. They don't care who's infected. They don't care who drop like fly. They want fresh election. That's all they're pushing in Dr. Friday head. Call fresh elections, fresh elections.
Okay,
and so
go ahead.
The people, hold on, Dan, let me finish. And so the people who living in prep school still in other shelters, they ain't studying them there. They ain't studying them there. They want fresh elections. Which to me is total nonsense. At this time, when we are in the middle of a pandemic, at this time when we're in the middle of a hurricane season, at this time when we're still trying to get back our lives together from the eruption of the volcano, the NDP say they want fresh elections. And as a result, they're hitting the streets on the 29th. Oh, God bless them.
All right, so I'm going to bring some comments for you, okay? From Facebook, Diane is saying Cuba is in a state of pandemic too, yet they're calling fresh elections. These are the best times to call fresh elections because it is now clear to be seen that the ULP does not know how to run the country and keep things under control.
What is the date of the volcano eruption in Cuba, please? Could somebody tell me? What is the last date the volcano in Cuba erupted?
We have another comment.
Hold on, Dan. Let me respond to Dan. Dan, are you in St. Vincent by chance? Do you drive past the old E.T. Joshua tarmac? You see, I was in a tent there. I don't know if you understand what is going on, Diane. And people like Diane will come and speak that nonsense. And then if you're not in St. Vincent, you could go onto Eyewitness News and look at some of the videos that are there.
Let me take a call, okay? Good morning.
Well,
hello, good morning. Good morning.
Hello?
Hi, we're hearing you.
Okay, I'm hearing you. I will never disrespect you on the airways because I'm very happy with the road you're going with NDP. I've called Mr. Hamilton.
Hold on. Identify yourself. Who's this?
This is Mr. Hamilton. I said I will never disrespect you on the airways. Never.
I can't speak to you.
And I'm saying, I agree with you. I have called for the resignation of Dr. Friday, not because Hamilton hates him. It's because 92% of the bosses, including Jerry Scott, have said that he doesn't understand politics. And a lot of things I agree with you. That is not what I'm going. But what I'm saying, as what we had coming here, Cuba is in a very serious state in terms of the pandemic, not because of an opposition party, but because of a leadership that has taken the country anti-democracy. And they're not accountable. They're not accounting for the people's money. There's a very poor health system. And I'm saying, it doesn't matter what time you call for an election. What we are in terms of you were talking that we are in a very serious state where we are now the most infected in the country.
Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Let me finish, man.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hamilton. Don't end that call for me, please. Thank you very much, Mr. Hamilton. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Hamilton. All right. I want to read. We do have to take a quick break, but I want to read one more for you, okay?
Sure.
Someone else on Facebook says, isn't St. Lucia having elections in the pandemic? Didn't we have elections in the beginning of the pandemic?
Did this person not hear me speak about the eruption of the volcano and what the people in the red zone are going through? Did this person not hear me speak about those persons who are still living in shelters? Did that person not hear me speak about the tents, the white tents that are on the old tarmac? Dan, let's go to a break because
Well, they were just speaking to the other things that you were talking about. All right, so we're going to jump out, take a quick break. When we come back, we should be joined by Council. Should be joining us today, right? He's going to be with us when we come back. Keep it locked on.
It's back to school with Court Optical, and some items are free. Free! Free! Get free children's lenses with the purchase of any free. Get free eye exams and follow-up visits. And 4 free spectacle cleanings. Also, if you pay with Ready Finance, you can shop now and pay $0 for 30 days. Plus, parents and teachers receive up to 30% off. Save big with Court Optical and get ready for back to school with ease. Call us today at 457-8100 or schedule your appointment online at www.courtsoptical.com. Terms and conditions apply. Offer good while supplies last. Courts Optical. Value you can see.
Turbulent times teach us the meaning of dependence. We are all dependent on each other to see each other through these trying times. We are reminded to care. GECU introduces our Care Loan, CARE, comprehensive assistance and relief for essential workers, and offering of financial reinforcement to those who care for us. The GECU Care Loan allows for all essential healthcare workers to borrow up to $50,000 to get themselves back on a firm foundation. The GECU Care Loan offers the absolute lowest rate for consumer loans in SVG at just 8.5% and gives you the flexibility of a full 7 years to repay. For more details, visit any of our branches nationwide or our main branch in Kingstown. Your job is to take care of others. Our job is to take care of you. Offer ends June 2022. Terms and conditions apply. So come on into GECU because GECU cares for you.
Hey now, I just get a free $50 gift card to top up my phone.
How you get that?
I get vaccinated.
So they're paying you to get the shot?
Nah. I not for sale, eh? Nobody can buy me.
So what's the $50 all about?
It's just a thank you for deciding on my own to get the shot. I would have taken it anyways, but it's nice to feel appreciated.
So if I decide to take the vaccine, they can thank me too?
I feel so, but you had to go to grenadinesinitiative.org for details.
Grenadinesinitiative.org?
The Boom Summerfest is on, playing all the party anthems.
I need a relief now. Love a relief, yeah. Queen of Ghana. Yeah. You go for me. And don't go for me. You don't go for me. Yeah. Static. Eyes a man want you, yeah. Eyes a man need you. But what girl? Time change everything. You are my everything. Come give me everything. I know you miss the smell of cologne and cigarette. Yeah, cigarette. And girl, come and perform for me. Wind down low and perform.
You've been on my mind so long, and I know it's really hard for you, baby. I have been bad for you, baby. Yeah, that's how it's going down. All I need is just one touch, and that's gonna do so much. I bring it all the bacchanal for you. Rock back, smoke a cigarette. Think about what you never get, yet. And leave me to do the rest. Baby,
I need to release all the stresses away.
Oh baby, oh baby, oh baby, oh baby.
I need you to be the best part of my day.
Oh baby, come on, baby. When you drop my heart like you miss me,
like you miss me.
When you hold me tight like you miss me,
like you miss me.
When you jump me right like you miss me.
OMG in the morning.
Remember that Quartz is here for you. Shop in store or online at www.shopquartz.com. Save on a wide range of smart TVs, mattresses, and electronics. Shop with Quartz Ready Finance and get instant approval. Pay nothing down with a hassle-free repayment period of up to 36 months. Quartz is bringing value home. And right now we're joined by Council, so we're going to get into our Plain Talk segment.
Plain Talk. Plain Talk with Jumo Thomas.
So much things to say right now.
All your talk now.
On OMG.
Morning, Council, and morning.
Morning. Everybody in the studio, most importantly, all the persons listening. Good morning. Bing, I wanted to talk this morning of, I started reading excerpts from Michael Holden's new book, Why We Kneel, How We Rise. And much of the story I knew, but I was taken by some of the snippets in there and the way in which racism has impacted on the life chances of African people across the world. And I reflected on the fact that while many of us protest and empathize with racist policies and racist actions abroad, we seem not to see, because in a large extent, racism is rather latent here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I'm hearing a radio in the back.
Yeah, it's a bit loud. Guys, just put it down a little bit, please.
Yeah, about racism here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and the fact that it's only, even today, you find black men and black women are very concerned about the texture of their hair. I think I'm quite pleased because as someone who has been around for a little while, I think that the African expressions in St. Vincent are much more pronounced now, and I dare say, in my humble estimation, they're probably even more pronounced than when I was a little boy at the time when the Black Power movement had emerged. I think more African women wear African garb, wear their hair naturally, and so on and so forth now than I believe we ever did. But still, you can, every now and again, I'm almost knocked back when I hear a young woman says that she prefers to have a light skin or Indian or a European-looking person because she wants to build the texture of a child's skin, or the texture of the child's, the color of the child's skin, or the texture of the child's hair. I am also old enough to remember here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and if you had gone to any given bank, you could not see someone who was my complexion. That people in those banks were all light skinned, and it reflects a certain level of consciousness. It reflects a certain false consciousness in my mind, because I believe that because we have not been taught our history and our tradition and our outstanding contribution to world civilization, I don't believe that people in St. Vincent and the Grenadines have a clear understanding of African people's contribution. I think one of the things that is telling for me, and I don't know, I have spoken to other people who would have shared this opinion. I don't think it's a majority opinion though. It's something that we need to look at, in the sense that St. Vincent has been an independent country now for 42 years. And in that 42 years, we have never had a prime minister who takes the complexion, well, except to Mr. Eustace, who was there for a short period of about 6 months. We have never had a prime minister who takes the complexion of the majority people in the population. Some people may think this is of no moment, but I think it is something telling to me, and it's something that all of us need to reflect on, because I believe it comes from that latent racism which is present in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and indeed present across the region and across much of the world. That when we see these expressions and these quote horrible looking expressions in, let's say, with George Floyd, or what happened to the British black soccer players, we tend to be outraged about those things. But when we come home and we see similar kind of outrages, we are not concerned or express our disgust in the same way. So having read most of Mikey Holden's book, Why We Kneel and How We Rise, it brought me back to thinking about Vincentian society and the long ways we still have to go in terms of recognizing who we are, appreciating who we are, and understanding that we are just as wholesome in with our noses and our lips and our melanin in our skin. And the hope is that as we continue and as our people continue to use their intelligence and to do their own research, that many of us may come to be at a point where we are much more comfortable in our skin. We will probably give up all of the extensions. We will give up the bleaching. We would give up the tendency to have to put this, what is it called? I can't remember what the women do now with the hair.
Wigs.
The weaves and so on and so forth. So that's my take for this morning. As I said, when I was working my way through Mikey Holden, and for those people who were too young, Mikey Holden was a legendary West Indian fast bowler. He was so smooth in his run-up that they called him the Whispering Death because you didn't know he was coming. He played about 60 test matches for the West Indies, took more than 300 test wickets, and is now one of the most outstanding cricket commentators in the world. And his book is worth reading for those of us who want to get a better understanding as to where we are in this world. That's my take, Bing. Thanks.
Council, I just want to say a couple things. I think in SVG that in my take in SVG, we don't have a problem of racism. We've got no problem of classism in SVG than racism. I don't know what do you think about that?
Well, I think in many respects, in St. Vincent and across the world, there's a merger between race and class. If you look at the ruling class, let's say in St. Vincent and across the Caribbean, much of them are either light or white. And I think that's a function of the fact that people had opportunities that other people who look like me did not have in the early years. So for example, it might have been much more difficult in the 50s and 60s for my father or for my mother to get a loan at a bank. What part of it is a function of the work that they did? But more than that, if you were light-skinned, you tended to get a leg up. And in fact, even today, if you are light-skinned, you tend to get a leg up. I was reading a report in Jamaica recently where a number of Jamaicans were saying that they tended to bleach their skin because they thought when they bleached their skin, they had a better chance at employment. So racism, I think, is right there. It's on the surface. It's not as in your face as it is in some other countries and as is reflected in Mikey Holden's book. But make no mistake about it being, it's right there. I can give you another example. When I lived in New York, when I just returned home, I had a colleague of mine who had done very well in the real estate business in the United States. In fact, he had done so well that he had gone over to Belize and bought more than 100 acres of seafront land. And he had asked me to make try to be as a point person for him here in St. Vincent because he had an interest in buying that parcel of land down at Mount Twin. And he could not get an interview with the requisite people here. In fact, I remember one minister of government asked me, Jomo, you sure this man has money? But we know that depending on who you are and what your complexion is, and I think the David Ames case is Exhibit A. If you are of that hue and that complexion, you in many respects, you have an inside track and may be able to get to speak to persons, whereas persons who look like me or darker may not have that same opportunity. So I hear you that classism is more pronounced here, but I am of the considered opinion that right beneath the surface, is race.
Can I interject with a comment from Facebook, please? Alwyn is saying on Facebook, I don't think that is factually correct. Apart from SVG and St. Lucia, the other leaders are all black. Perhaps the minds are not so black.
Well, that's a completely different take. I am not saying that by virtue of the fact that we have a black complexion, that it would be a reflection of a black worldview, because most of us don't have black or African worldview, because the African worldview is not taught. In fact, the entire world is infected and dominated by the European worldview, and Europe only emerged on the world stage in the last 400 or 500 years. So I am not speaking about the view, the opinion. I am talking about the complexion of those persons who hold the power.
But Jomo, counsel, sorry, some people may think that you are also racist because you're not exactly correct. We've had Milton Cato, who was black. He led our nation to independence. Is it that you dislike Milton Cato? You dislike or you dislike Sir James?
No, I don't dislike politicians. In fact, I completely forgot our independence Prime Minister Milton Cato. I don't dislike politicians or dislike people. I may have a shade with them. I may have a radical difference with them on policy, but I don't dislike people at all. I had nothing against Sir James. I have nothing against Ralph Gonsalves or any other politician in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I may have a disagreement with them on a certain policy issue or some political position which they hold, but I don't dislike them. People say, the other thing again is that some people have heard this charge time and again that Jomo Thomas is racist because he articulates the views which he articulates. I am of the opinion that I don't think that African people in the world can be racist. And part of the reason why I say that is because African people across the world don't have power. And if we understand, racism is not prejudice. Racism is prejudice plus power plus action. Prejudice plus the power that you have plus the action. Me saying that I dislike this person or that person, I have no authority at all to do anything that could seriously affect the life chances of that person in a broad fundament. I'm not talking about the individual. I'm talking across the spectrum. So the charge which has been laid at me, I've seen it many times, particularly sometimes when I write my columns, that I am racist or that people like me are racist. It is a throwaway charge because it's intended to spark some kind of inner urging or inner feeling or animus in people, but it's something that I reject. And the evidence across the world demonstrate that if you are black, because fundamentally you don't have power, economic, political, or otherwise, it is virtually impossible for you to be racist. Prejudice, yes.
All right. So have you seen these so-called non-black leaders done racist things that would make them qualify to what you're saying?
If I didn't get your question.
Have you seen these so-called non-black leaders done racist things that would make them qualify for what you're saying?
When you say non-black leaders, what are you talking about specifically?
Prime Minister Gonsalves, former Prime Minister James Mitchell.
No. I haven't said that either Gonsalves or Mitchell has done racist things. What is evident from their pronouncement is that they are very Eurocentric in their thinking. I mean, imagine being in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. African history is not a compulsory subject, but the vast majority of people, well, not only in St. Vincent, across the Caribbean, African history is not compulsory. In no way in the curriculum across the Caribbean is it compulsory. But is that a sign of racism? I don't think so. I think it is a sign of the predominance of Eurocentric ideas, and as a result, African history, African thought patterns, and so on are relegated to lower rungs down the ladder. But it is I am not saying that Gonzalez is racist, or that Gonzalez is or that Mr. Mitchell, former Prime Minister Mitchell, is racist or has been racist. There are certain things that people may say is racialized, and some people may disagree and say, no, that's racist. I remember one of the most prominent things is when years ago, I think it was the run-up to the 2010 election, might have been 2005, when PM Gonzalez said, well, if he and George Bush were to be walking, if Mr. Eustace and George Bush were to be walking down the street in the middle of the night, no one would recognize Mr. Eustace. So some people have made that point, that might have been a reflection of racism. But I am not laying that charge either at Mr. Mitchell or at PM Gonzalez.
This Michael Holden, the cricketer who wrote this book,
yes,
right, on racism, isn't he married to a white woman?
Yes, but what does that have to do with anything?
So I'm asking you, well, you're not finished. Would Michael Holden be racist then?
I think you're trivializing the conversation. The fact that you would be married to a white woman being, or I married to a white woman, doesn't speak to that racism. In fact, I just told you that it is virtually impossible for people like me or you or Mikey Holden to be racist by virtue of the fact of who they are, who we are. You have no collective power. You may be prejudiced, but you have. And how would Mikey be racist for marrying a white woman?
I don't know. You okay?
I never went there. You're the one who took us there, so I expect you to get out of that.
I'm not trying to get it. Did you endorse a Eurocentric prime minister in 2015? Then how come you did that, knowing the way you feel?
Well, I'll answer you this way. PM Gonzalez, over the years, I've known PM Gonzalez now for many, many years. And in my estimation, PM Gonzalez has articulated a number of critically important policies that are attractive to me. I have always been attracted to his foreign policy. I have been attracted to his articulation of positions and reparations. And I have been attracted to his advocacy and many other points over the years. As a consequence, I supported the Unity Labour Party and I supported PM Gonzalez as many of those things. But also over the years, I have been consistently critical of PM Gonzalez and the Unity Labour Party. If you pay attention to my columns going all the way, but my first column I wrote a column in September of 2001, which was titled "We May Have to Protect PM Gonzalez from Himself." So my criticism has always been, and this is why when I see some people criticize me today, it is evident to me that they haven't followed what I've been writing and saying over the last 15, 20 years.
Council, I just feel, and this is my final statement, I just feel that we as people say things when it's in our best interest to do it, and I may be guilty of that as well, when it's in our best interest to do it. I don't think back then, when you were involved with PM Gonzalez and endorsed him, you would have felt this way because it wasn't in your best interest to have done it then. You may have felt that way, but you didn't come public and speak about it. And that's what I'll say finally on the issue.
But Bing, that's okay. I have an appreciation for that. But again, I have always been writing about Eurocentrism and latent racism in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and pointing to ways in which Eurocentrism predominates the thought and actions of many of our leaders. But again,
you would have been part of the problem, because you, as you spoke about this morning, about not having leaders who are black, you endorsed and kept a leader who was there who wasn't black at the time when you were involved in the party. So I don't understand. You know, you kind of confusing me. You know?
Well, I am not so sure why you're confused. I made a point which says that for most of our independence, we have had leaders who don't look like us. I am not saying that a person who is light-skinned should not ever be the leader of St. Vincent or the Grenadines, or all of the leaders must look like me or you. What I am saying, that it is a commentary on us, that in a country that is predominant in people of African hue, like you and me, we have gone all of these years without. I'm not saying in the least that we shouldn't have a PM Mitchell, because many people in St. Vincent may be quite appreciative of the role that PM Mitchell played, and more, or probably the same amount, may be appreciative of what PM Gonzalez did. So I'm not here talking about the color of the person. I'm talking about overall, in a country that is predominantly with people of African hue, what it says about us, if for the vast majority, for more than 80% of the years since we're independent, we have not moved in that direction.
And I'm saying that you didn't help us to move in that direction as well.
Well, this is the reason why I speak to these things, you know. This is the reason why I speak to these things, and I will spark our interest and our ideas, and we can go forward to do some other things.
Okay. All right, Council, thank you very much.
Thank you.
One this morning. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Tomorrow morning.
Until we meet again.
Okay, good.
Here we go. Boom Summerfest is on. Are you ready? The biggest songs of the summer in a head-to-head battle. Every shift, every day.
Never stop if you want to be on top.
Vote for the biggest song of the summer. Vote for the biggest artist of the summer. The toughest mic man and the biggest DJs in SVG. Playing all the party anthems and hits all day and all night.
No face, fat, baby, tap in.
We turn up the heat.
Tap in.
Talk English, Spanish, and French. Who let the dogs out?
Let the dog out. Let the dog out. As we play the best dance hall, hip hop, and soca in the Boom Summerfest. Who will rule the summer with the biggest party anthems? The Boom Summerfest is on.
Come on, everyone.
Kilometer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. 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 Ooh. If you cut me, you go see blood. And if you squeeze me, you go feel the love. We are one people under the sun. One nation under the law. So who feel the black? Who feel the black? Who feel the white? Who feel the white? I don't know. But it's set till tomorrow night. Who feel the wrong? Who feel the wrong? Who feel the right? Who feel the right? Come and go. Come and go. And all who feel the too bright. Let me jump up the same way. Let me wind up the same way. Party not same way. Ramage bingo like a we come to play man. Same way. Every creed and class. Same way. Don't let nothing pass. Same way. Like a repetitive, all the love inside the way. You got an accent, but we not really different. 99.1% love to wine represent. All that we want to see, happiness, prosperity. I for you and you for me. Cause if you cut me, you go see blood. And if you squeeze me, you go feel the love. We are one people under the sun. One nation under the law. So who feel the black? Who feel the black? Who feel the white? Who feel the white? I don't know. But it's set till tomorrow night. Who feel the wrong? Who feel the wrong? Who feel the right? Who feel the right? Come and go. Come and go. And all who feel the two people is day one. We practice since day one. From night till the day come. We under the same sun. Jump up with your day one. Don't stop being afraid. Come. We are in the stadium. Drinking from the same rum. Don't tell me what you know best than me. Take away everything and then tell me who you'll be. I tell you to take a drink with me. Come on, it don't matter where you're from. All I be is one. Put up your hand because we is more than friend. Jump up, we is more than friend. More precious than gold and gem. We tight like a wedding ring. I say we is more than friend. All of we is more than friend. Together like ink and pen. We closer than 9 and 10. All of we is day one. We set it since day one. From night till the day come. We under the same sun. Jump up with the day. Jump up with the way come. We under the same sun. Drinking from the same sun.
Girl, and baby, everyone blinking bad. All the friends them thinking bad. Whoop whoop. Whoop whoop. Tell me what is behavior. Don't know what their behavior. Tell me what is behavior. Girl, and baby, everyone blinking bad. All the friends them thinking bad. Baby, everyone blinking bad. Mother call me the drinking god. Baby, everyone blinking bad. All the friends them stinking bad. Baby, everyone blinking bad. Blinking bad. I say it's all night we pumping and we crunking, whining and a drunking, pure sunset and punching. It's all night we pumping, and if it's one thing, we love plenty girl thing. Every day we snouting, sing what? Check out the flow, don't have nothing, get a pay at the door. But you can say that your friend is the baddest if you don't have the family looks on the show. When I mash up the flow, don't give a damn about your property go. So when you see me, you know that I take it and the rest of my body who bad like me know. Oh Lord, I pray to God that when the time comes to get permission to get down bad, I say, oh Lord, I pray to God that when the time comes to get permission to get down.
OMG in the morning.
You can join the Boom Nation, like and follow, subscribe to Boom SVG 1069. We're on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, and of course Twitch at Boom 1069 SVG. Make sure that you set your alerts so that you never ever miss out on any updates. I've got one more message for you. Gotta let you know about District Stairs. If you're building your dream house, renovating or updating, check out District Stairs for your high-quality engineered hardwood flooring, your hardwood flooring luxury planks, laminate flooring, and a wide assortment of stylish trims. Also, your wall, floor tiles, and tiling-related products. District Stairs has your railings, post, pickets in metal, stainless steel, wood, and glass for your staircase. Remember to ask about the special where they have free shipping to SVG during the month of August. You can contact them on WhatsApp at 289-200-7649. You can also check them out online at districtstairs.com or search for them on Facebook. All right, Bing, you hearing me? I'm not hearing you. All right, so we're having some technical difficulties as usual. Once it's Bing, something has to go wrong.
I'm good.
Okay, we got you. Okay, you good?
Yeah, I'm good. The Cutlass is there. We got the Cutlass in the house.
Yes.
Good morning, Cutlass. We're not hearing him now. Steven, unmute your mic. Is his mic off?
It's not
on?
muted. No, it's on. It's on our end.
Steven, could you refresh?
Log out and come back in.
Refresh.
All right.
Good morning.
Can I play a voice note in the meantime, Bing?
Sure. Take it to
All right, let's take this voice note.
Good morning, all.
Morning.
Hope all is well with you this morning, Daniel.
Thank you.
I agree with most of what Jomo was saying this morning. Racism is a white construct, and it was used as, and continues to be used as, a justification for their ideals of white supremacy. Slavery, the subjugation of black people, Jim Crow, all of those were functions of racism. And I also agree with him that it's virtually impossible for a black person to be racist. I think what some people may refer to as racism coming from black people is a misidentification of their reaction to white supremacy and white supremacist ideals. So, I think what he said has a lot of merit.
I so disagree. Where we going to racism in St. Vincent? Don't have that. Why are we trying to bring that? My children have got Caucasian. So why are we subjecting them to this kind of nonsense about racism? We do not have racism in St. Vincent. Let's bring the cutlass if he's.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you now.
Okay, great. First of all, I have a new name, right? And you need to adapt and adjust yourself accordingly. All right.
What's
Okay.
your name?
According to Grant Connell, you should now be referring to me as a gem, GEM.
Why?
Otherwise known as the green-eyed monster. So I'll take it as a compliment coming from my buddy Grant. All right. So get me properly now. I'm no longer Cuban Cutlass. I am now a gem, buddy, and you can interpret that however you want. Right?
Well, I haven't heard him saying that, so I will report to Cuban Cutlass.
You're just jealous you couldn't come up with such a good name. That's all. Listen, Bing, I wanted first of all this morning briefly to say, before I get into my depressing part, I wanted to speak first of all briefly this morning about, we've got two swimmers heading off to Tokyo for the Olympics, and they're leaving on Friday, Shane Cadogan and Maya DeFreitas, and I want to wish them the best of luck and hope they have a wonderful experience. With all the COVID stuff going on, I know it's going to be very difficult. So, we wish them well anyway, and I hope they'll represent us well and give it their best shot, right? So, a long trek to go in tough times with COVID, but Maya, Shane, good luck, guys, all right? And to get into now to a couple of more depressing things, Bing. Eyewitness News this morning has an article about how do I describe this? A woman, right? A man who got 18 months in jail, okay, for beating up his wife. Now, or his ex-wife. What I actually would like to read briefly a part of this thing because it's really depressing, huh? And the part I want to read is according to the facts, and I'm reading from Kenton, an Eyewitness News. According to the facts read by Corporal Atnell Ash, Mrs. Porter and her husband were in a 21-year relationship, which included 11 years of marriage. The couple had been separated and living apart for the past 24 years. Last Friday, July 16th, Mr. and Mrs. Porter went to Mrs. Porter's home in Otley Hall. Mr. Porter left his wife's house and went to his home and later returned and began arguing that someone had removed a sensor light from outside his house. I want to repeat again, someone had removed a sensor light from outside of his house. He accused his wife's brother of removing the sensor light and proceeded to call his wife various names and insult him. He then pushed his wife onto a cardboard box apparently and kicked her in the stomach, causing her to lose control of her bladder. Her 3 children went to their mother's assistance and held on to their father. He pushed and boxed his 14-year-old daughter in the mouth and pushed both of the girls out of the bedroom. Mr. Porter then took a cutlass from under the bed and swung at his wife's face. The cutlass missed his wife and struck the couple's 9-year-old son on the head. The couple's daughter re-entered the bedroom and grabbed onto their father. Buddy, you know how much jail time this man got for what he just did? For assaulting his wife? He gets 19 months in jail. Can somebody explain to me how you get to a situation of accusing somebody of taking a sensor light out of your socket and ending up, assault is too nice a word, Bing, brutalizing, savagely attacking your ex-wife and your children. You hit your 9-year-old child with a cutlass. You smash your 14-year-old daughter in the face, and you get 19 months in jail. What kind of country are we living in? What kind of justice are we seeing in this country? And you wonder why people have no faith in the justice system. Then last night I get a WhatsApp. Apparently there's an 11-year-old daughter, somebody's 11-year-old child who's missing. I hope they've found her by now, but I haven't heard anything. Have you guys heard anything about this?
Yeah, I know.
We actually read the story this morning.
Did they find the child yet, Danny?
No, she's still not. She's still missing.
So I have a 13-year-old daughter, as you know, and I'm now giving her something to walk with to protect herself, right? And I suppose the police might say certain things that you will do. You see, this is the problem when certain things happen. Huh? You almost get driven into a corner where you will do whatever it takes to protect your child. As you know, I am not granted a licensed firearm in this country because of what I would call political victimization. People may or may not like that, right? But I don't have a gun. I don't have a licensed firearm. But if somebody harms my 13-year-old child in any way, and they think they're going into jail for 19 months and coming out, we will have a different story to tell at that point. And then they could lock me up for doing whatever it is I need to do also. Because we need to do better than this, huh? This is simply not acceptable. An 11-year-old girl is now missing. I'm told that there's some sort of video of her in a restaurant. So hopefully the police can see who that is and circulate the tape if it is true, what I'm hearing. All right. But it's depressing thing. It's really depressing. And that wasn't really what I planned to talk about this morning. And then, of course, I read another article yesterday where we are locking up some poor black men in this country. And I believe they are black men. For weed bing. Meanwhile, white men, and you could talk all you like about racism not existing. You're absolutely full of crap on that one, buddy. Racism is very much alive and well. Because white men are allowed to come into this country and grow marijuana, do whatever they like with it, export it, and we call that medicinal. Meanwhile, the poor black man gets locked up in jail for 160-something pounds, or will likely get locked up in jail for 161 pounds of marijuana. But we could still sell strong rum to people, Bing, which causes a lot more damage than smoking weed as far as I'm aware. I'm not a proponent of weed. I'm not a proponent of strong rum. But the hypocrisy is what strikes me here. We have people allegedly having licenses to grow and cultivate weed for quote-unquote medicinal purposes, which as far as I'm concerned is a bunch of BS. And that's perfectly legal. The poor black man with 160-something pounds is going to get put in jail. His life will be screwed up, but the rich white man can get away with this big. This is just wrong. End of story. And we need to stop doing stupidity in this country. Yeah? We need to stop claiming that we love Vincentian people and doing this to Vincentian people. Right? At some point, we need some kind of political leadership to say, guys, we need to do better than this. What we're doing here is wrong. Right? That's my opinion there. All right. So it's what I call the weed hypocrisy by our governments. I want to know if we hate our young men. Right? Because look what we are doing to them continuously. But yet, and the people with this weed bit, I'm willing to bet this person with the weed will get more than 19 months in jail. But we could box our young children in the face. We could swing a cutlass and hit our 9-year-old child. But having weed is somehow worse than doing that.
But Stephen, I won't necessarily blame our justice system.
I blame the law. What would you blame?
But not the courts. These judges and magistrates have a system to work by.
Yes.
It is our lawmakers that need to be blamed.
Okay.
Well said. Well said.
Agree.
My friend, well said indeed. And you are right, because there are such a things as sentencing guidelines and whatever, right? Oh, we've seen cases before, Bing, where you shake your head and you wonder. And you're probably right, it's not the justice system. You're probably right. It really has to do more with guidelines and the laws that we have, and it's just, anyway, it's just depressing. Okay, it's really just depressing to continually see the same stupidity. I want to turn to something else for a couple of minutes, if I may. I read an article about the Friends of Cuba, published, right? And I love our Friends of Cuba calling for the lifting of sanctions on Cuba. I don't hear them calling for democratic freedom for the Cuban people. I don't hear them calling for political prisoners to be freed in Cuba. I don't hear them calling for freedom of the press in Cuba. I don't hear them calling for open, free, and fair elections in Cuba. I don't hear them calling to say that Cubans should not have to apply for a visa to leave their own country. I don't hear any of that from these people, Bing. And I wonder why. Now, let's look. You want to always abuse the United States, and you are free to do that. You are living in a country where you can do that. In the United States, you can abuse the United States government. I want you to go to Cuba and try and do the same things that you can do in the United States against the Cuban, and say the same kinds of words you would against the Cuban government and Cuban government policies, and see how far that gets you. Because our so-called intellectuals seem to have a very blind spot for autocrats and dictatorships. They seem to be totally blinded by that, but they can always jump on the big bad United States. Now, the United States has a relatively free and open and democratic system. It is far from perfect, but it is relatively free, open, and democratic. It also happens to be a country that many Vincentians immigrate to, legally and illegally, and provides jobs and income. And a lot of that income finds its way back to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And yet we constantly slam them. Our intellectuals, buddy. Let's look at our intellectuals. I don't hear them calling on China to restore democracy in Hong Kong. I don't hear them calling to express concerns for Uyghur Muslims who have been imprisoned and put away. I don't hear them asking for China to abandon claims to the South China Seas that are claimed by other countries, including, I believe, Vietnam, Indonesia, other countries that I could go on to name, but will not at this point. I don't hear our intellectuals asking that Taiwan be granted its independence, which is a country or an island of millions and millions of people. They don't care about that. Our intellectuals like to blame the USA, but they have nothing again to say when Russia invades another country, the Ukraine, and annexes or steals a part of that country, the Crimea, I believe. They also have nothing to say, our intellectuals when the main opposition leader in Russia is poisoned. They have nothing to say when Russian citizens who happen to be living in the United Kingdom are poisoned. They have nothing to say against the Russian governments. Our intellectuals blame the USA, but they say nothing about freedom of the press in Venezuela, nothing. The intellectuals say nothing about Myanmar when the military takes over following the democratic elections. They say nothing about Saudi Arabia when the Crown Prince is alleged to have been who slaughtered a journalist, Jamal Khashoggi, in London, a journalist who was critical of the ruling regime. And I could go on, but I find our intellectuals to be intellectually dishonest. And I have no objection to them accusing the United States of hypocrisy and whatever else they want. But you could look at it another way. You could say the United States has a certain system of government and a certain system of democracy and capitalism that the Cuban country is opposed to. Cuba is 90 miles offshore the United States. Does the United States not have a right also to try and protect itself against against people who have a different system than they do, who are not interested in their systems? Why is it that the United States always have to get the blame, but nobody else gets the blame? Why are these people have nothing to say about the autocratic dictatorships in the world? What does that tell you about them? I can't tell the last time I saw hundreds of people wanting to leave the United States and run to Cuba. I can't tell the last time I saw hundreds of Trinidadians trying to abandon Trinidad and run to Venezuela. But we see the opposite. But we don't talk about those things because the United States is an easy target. Maybe some of the intellectuals should move to Cuba. Maybe they should move to Cuba or Venezuela or Russia or China and try and make a couple of criticisms or comments about their governments and see where it gets them to. Fair enough? That is my view, buddy. So maybe the intellectuals are simply not as intelligent as they would have us believe. Maybe they can only see one thing and they're so biased on one-sided that they're not capable of thinking, because intelligence is a strange thing. Intelligence means that you can analyze. It doesn't mean that you can just memorize and repeat something. It means that you are capable of analysis, and hopefully you are capable of seeing many different alternative views. I'm not sure that our intellectuals are so intelligent, and I wish they would be more forthright, because they do have influence and they influence our people. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to go live in Cuba. I don't want to go live in Venezuela. I don't want to go live in Russia. I live in a relatively free and democratic country called St. Vincent and the Grenadines, relatively, being the word here. And I hope that other people will understand that the intellectuals on radio, TV, newspaper columnists, etc., that there are some of us who think differently to those people. That's it for me, Bing. Any comments, Bing?
Well, I will respond by saying what you said, that some of them should go move there. Most of the intellectuals who are in support of these countries would have studied or lived in these countries at one point. Right?
And they chose to leave.
Well, they studied there and they had to come back home. And
they did?
Yes, some of them, like my friend Dexter Rose, who I know he won't mind me calling his name.
No, I know Dexter. Dexter's a friend of mine.
Was at one point ambassador in Cuba.
Yes.
Right. So, and his wife is a beautiful Cuban lady.
Yep.
So we could understand that. Some people have communism in their vein, right?
No, Bing, if they had communism in their brain, in their veins, right? Wouldn't they want to move to a Cuban country? Any of them applied to stay in Cuba or to immigrate to Cuba as far as you're aware? The silence is definite, Bing. Did you apply? Bing, would you like to go live in Cuba?
This is not about me right now, so just move on.
You know, I just like to provoke you. I just like to provoke you. I didn't want to talk about COVID, but I would like to read something Marlon said, right? Just so that, that Marlon posted on Facebook. Marlon, yeah. Marlon posted something. He said close to 170 million Americans have been vaccinated. Over 18 million Canadians have been vaccinated. Over 450 million Indians have been vaccinated. Close to 300 million Chinese people have been vaccinated. Over 36 million people in the UK have been vaccinated. So over 1 billion or 1,100 million, whatever the hell the number is, it's a huge number. Over 1 billion people have been vaccinated around the world. Okay, at present, there's a pandemic among the unvaccinated. It's the unvaccinated principally who are dying from COVID. If you are overweight, suffer from hypertension, asthma, diabetes, or have some underlying health conditions, you should consider the COVID vaccine because you are more likely to become ill from COVID and more likely to die from COVID-19. The first defense and the best defense, according to the science, is vaccination. Listen to the medical experts. That's a posting from Marlon Butte, and I just thought it was interesting to read. I don't think that we should continue to talk too much about COVID, to be honest with you, because people will make their own decisions and make up their own minds in due time. And I think that when it comes to COVID, people will eventually make up their minds, as I said, one way or the other. So hopefully, we'll see what happens, Bing, but I do think that we will have to be realistic at some point. As I said, my concern really is with the kids and what's going to happen to school again. What happens in October, as I said before, when they go back to school and we have an outbreak in Barrowley Secondary? Do we shut the schools down again? How long can we keep damaging kids for? The problem with the kids is the kids have no voice. They rely on us adults, right, to speak for them. They don't have anybody else to speak for them. So, I mean, I would like us to speak on their behalf, please, and let's try and do what we have to protect our kids. If you don't want to get vaccinated, that's cool. That's your business, right? Eventually, whatever will be, will be.
Stephen, have you been following what's taking place in the BVI?
Absolutely. 19. And last time I saw, I think it was 19 people who are now dead. I believe 13 within the last 2 weeks who have now died of COVID. Gerald will say more about that. I believe that's a country, and that's a country of 30,000 people, less than 1/3 of the population of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. People are dying. People are suffering. And people are now in lines to get vaccinated. Unfortunately, I do not think that St. Vincent will change our positions on vaccines until we see the suffering that they are seeing. That's unfortunate. I know Gerald will disagree with me, but from what I could see so far, I hope I'm wrong. I would love to be wrong again, but I am concerned about that. I prefer to rely on the medical doctors. They're the experts. All right. People like me can talk about the numbers we see and the statistical reporting and the interpretation of those kinds of things. But the doctors are the ones, and I want to urge people, if you have concerns about vaccinations, go and talk to your medical health professionals. Don't talk to Stephen Joachim or Bing Joseph or Danny or Jomo. Go talk to your medical doctors, and I would suggest you rely on their advice and their opinions. Gerald,
All right,
good
tell you
morning.
what, let's take a commercial break before we bring in Dr. Thompson. Let's do that quickly and come right back, okay? Let's do that, Dan. Hold on,
Yes,
Dan.
it hot like fire, but I still have to go try and get you when me have to do today. Me friend them on the economy, I link them up, we gonna ride up. So go look around me, say I ride cool, say I play cool, say I stay cool, say I drink cool, say me friend them Billy's rhythm with alcohol and drink it in them with alcohol. I cool for life. I cool for life. I cool for life.
Have you ever wanted something but can't get it in St. Vincent and the Grenadines? Sign up with MyBox and receive a free US mailing address and shop from any website for amazing deals. With just a few clicks, I can go from whoa to wow. With great rates, shipment twice a week, hassle-free, my son can now get his PS5 really fast. We even deliver to you no matter where you live. Contact us today at 533-2501 or sign up with MyBox shipping.com. MyBox. You buy, we ship, we ship, we ship.
Here we go. Boom Summerfest is on. Are you ready? The biggest songs of the summer in a head-to-head battle. Every shift, every day.
Never stop if you want to be on top.
Vote for the biggest song of the summer. Vote for the biggest artist of the summer. The toughest mic men and the biggest DJs in SVG. Playing all the party anthems and hits all day and all night.
Low bass, fat, baby, tap in.
We turn up the heat.
Tap in.
Talk English, Spanish, and French. Who let the dogs out?
Let the dogs out. Let the dogs out. As we play the best dance hall, hip hop, and soca in the Boom Summerfest. Who will rule the summer with the biggest party anthems? The Boom Summerfest is on.
Are you a person who cares for your hair 100%? Well, you should check out Denatures for the best hair product. They offer a wide variety of chibi powders, cocoa oils, chibi moisturizer cream, chibi shampoos, and Ambuno conditioners. Products can be found at Bowman's Pharmacy, Island Health Pharmacy, Annisville, Roy's Pharmacy, Georgetown, Union Island, Beckway, Canawan. And for more information, please feel free to contact 1-876-836-7156. For the best care in hair, please check out Denatures.
Turbulent times teach us the meaning of dependence. We are all dependent on each other to see each other through these trying times. We are reminded to care. GECU introduces our Care Loan, CARE, comprehensive assistance and relief for essential workers, an offering of financial reinforcement to those who care for us. The GECU Care Loan allows for all essential healthcare workers to borrow up to $50,000 to get themselves back on a firm foundation. The GECU Care Loan offers the absolute lowest rate for consumer loans in SVG at just 8.5% and gives you the flexibility of a full 7 years to repay. For more details, visit any of our branches nationwide or our main branch in Kingstown. Your job is to take care of others. Our job is to take care of you. Offer ends June 2022. Terms and conditions apply. So come on into GECU because GECU cares for you.
The biggest songs of the summer, every day and all night long on Boom Summerfest.
To divide and rule is their own plan, their own plan. But I am no fool to let them overcome the king in this jungle, city of so high and somber. I've seen so many fall, and they stumble along the way.
the morning.
All my DJs trying to sabotage me, but it is okay. We're back inside with the OMG crew and our guests. We've got, well, apparently it's no longer the Cuban Cutlass. I don't know what's going on there, but we do have Dr. Thompson on with us as well. Good morning, Dr. Thompson, and welcome.
A pleasant good morning to you. Good morning to all the listeners. Are you hearing me well?
Yes, we're here.
Yes, thank you very much. You know, quite a lot to talk about this morning. I would have sent you something quickly there, Bing.
Yes.
It is, I don't know if you received it. It's the pro-government protest that took place in Cuba. You know, absolutely massive crowd, literally approaching, tens, maybe 100,000 persons and so forth. There's no doubt in my mind that sanctions and so has affected that particular country. And the call by the friends of Cuba and so forth is certainly sound. I don't know where Steve got that word Cuban cutlass, if it is that he was to cut up Cuba in some way, or if there's some other reason. That's a very, very interesting story. But I think that we have to be very mindful of really what is taking place. And I'm really in support of the people of Cuba. And basically, the majority of individuals have basically come out in favor of wanting sanctions and so forth to stop. I think that the approach that was taken by Obama was a very sound approach. Trump rolled it back. I'm not sure that that approach is going to work. And I believe that these are difficult times. COVID is affecting every country. I'm sure COVID is affecting Cuba as well. So how people struggle through these particular issues and jobs and healthcare and so forth is one issue. But that isn't really what I wanted to speak about this morning, because interestingly, last night there was a very interesting discussion on radio. It was Jomo Thomas and Anicia Batiste. His guest was Anicia Batiste, who is an ardent arch Cuban and Venezuelan critic. So it was so interesting seeing how these things create such strange bedfellows. Stephen and I think alike on many respects. We disagree on this, and I'm sure that Anicia and Jomo think very differently on the subject of Cuba, but they created a very strange compact with respect to COVID-19. Now, I think right now we've established that Trinidad had a major surge, and between June 5th and July 5th, 341 persons died from COVID, and that's where that number comes from. Not from the vaccine. They died from the virus. Less than 20 of them had either one dose of vaccine, one person had 2 doses. Just people. These are the facts. In the BVI, there's been a tremendous amount of hesitancy there, even though they've gone and done quite a lot higher level of vaccination than St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And this outbreak, in a matter of 3 weeks, going from virtually under 300 to over 2,500, surpassing St. Vincent and the Grenadines, 17, 18, 19 deaths and counting. This is a serious problem. We got to pray and reach out to our folks in the BVI. I know many of them are listening to us, and they listen to programs in St. Vincent, the many Vincentians there. And I'm really hoping that the lines now for vaccination, that they have enough vaccines to give in a population of 30,000, still somewhat a dependency of the UK, even though they are associated state. I'm hoping they have enough vaccines to be able to give out to those people who want. And I think Steve is right. It seems as if death seems to drive the process. We are, though, about preventing death. And I strongly believe that we will get there. You know, it may take a little longer. But last night, last night it showed me that Jomo certainly has something in his craw. Jomo has something in his craw. He left this particular program yesterday, and I was surprised to see his guest was Anicia. Anicia is one of the most harshest anti-vaccine critic. I want to tell you something quick. In 1998, a gentleman named doctor in England called Andrew Wakefield published an article linking the measles, mumps, rubella vaccine with autism. Immediately, I was practicing in New York at the time, and in our infection control committee, we were called with the pediatrics. We saw drops in immunization rates immediately throughout the world. Measles, mumps, rubella requires a 95% immunization rate. The same Vincent has been attaining for almost decades. But around the world, France, Ireland, it dropped. And by the year 2000, measles outbreaks started to occur again because of this whole thing about Andrew Wakefield's article. This went on until 2010. He was doing lecture tours promoting measles, mumps, rubella vaccine causes autism. You'll be surprised that in the year 2000, because vaccination rates had dropped so much, the World Health Organization, various other doctor organizations approached, guess who? Bill Gates. They approached Microsoft and asked Microsoft, please, can you help us put some money towards improving vaccine, especially in Africa? And Bill Gates has put billions of dollars into the vaccination program, anti-malaria program. He's teamed up with Nelson Mandela, all these kind of things. However, in 2010, the Lancet, which had first published the article in 1998, had to retract the article because they found Andrew Wakefield had falsified his information. He was being paid by the lawyers of the 12 patients he had used in his study. He was being paid by the lawyers. He had developed his own vaccine. He was saying vaccines are bad, but he developed his own vaccine to flog and had gotten it patented and put it in development. And he was raking money. The British Medical Council disbarred him, took away his license. He was struck off the list of medical doctors, and the Lancet retracted its article. Big front page issue, all the newspapers. And that was the birth of the anti-vax movement. In 2011, there was an article by Anicia Batiste in the paper hitting out at childhood vaccines. And I responded. And I responded hard. And Jomo called me onto his program, and we had a debate. But as I told you before, I was shocked. Jomo's thing was he was more against the pharmaceutical companies. And you could see he was in favor. Long and short, the discussion last night was not so much about vaccines, but it was about the alternative treatment to vaccines. Anicia and Jomo have been pushing the use of hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin. Everybody remembers there is Donald Trump had been a big proponent of hydroxychloroquine. Why? A doctor in America, this is a Dr. Zawinski. He came to Donald Trump and convinced him, Dr. Zelensky. He came to Donald Trump and presented to Donald Trump that he had a Zelensky protocol to treat people, and Donald Trump bought it. Do you know the United States imported, they wanted to import first about 29 million tablets from India. They imported 50 million. It's now under investigation because a lot of middlemen made dollars, big bucks. And then they found out that the hydroxychloroquine did not work. It causes your heart to go into abnormal rhythms and a host of other things. The NIH, CDC did studies on it. The studies showed it failed. What I'm saying is that this was last year. Donald Trump even was saying, I am taking hydroxychloroquine, and 3 weeks after, he caught the COVID. Everybody remembers that. Now, Ivermectin. I am an infectious disease specialist. I went to Egypt, in 1998, 99, for 3 months to study parasitology. I have used ivermectin. I know ivermectin. Matter of fact, on getting back to the United States, you hardly didn't need it because not a lot of people have parasitic infection. People used to come from different parts of the world in complicated cases, and I have used ivermectin in that regard as an infectious disease specialist. But what I want to say is that early on in the pandemic, some studies were done. Studies were done later on in Peru, in Egypt, and so the bottom line is that the thinking that ivermectin works has been growing. Even I have been looking seriously. I've been speaking to the CMO and so forth. Maybe we've got to take a look at this. But guess what? In the same way as Andrew Wakefield, over this last week, it became revealed that the studies that were done, one of the important studies that was done, was totally fraudulent. They'd falsified information. They padded the information. They had put the whole thing together, but cut and paste and a whole set of things. It's difficult to go through all the details on this program. But the person who did it said they had a special software for doing analysis of studies, to do meta-analysis. And he had been established in 2008. That was not true. He was established when the pandemic started. And the bottom line is that it has put a dagger through the heart of the ivermectin debate, because the recent studies would have shown that ivermectin might be as much as 80-90% effective. But when you take away these fraudulent studies that were done, that is part of the meta-analysis. The meta-analysis means you're taking about 24 different studies, you're putting them together, you're analyzing them. That's called a meta-analysis, multiple analysis. The bottom line is that this big study, the biggest study so far, was so fraudulent that it has totally killed that meta-analysis assessment. So what I'm saying is that it's now showing that ivermectin is no better than placebo. When Dr. Trotman was speaking, part of the reason why the first part of the tape was omitted wasn't just because she was also promoting a new drug, but because they were saying that hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin are not approved. The bottom line is that throughout the world, you're going to see stocks drop. A lot of people were going to make a lot of money from ivermectin. Hello?
Yes, yeah.
A lot of people are going to make a lot of money from ivermectin, have started to make a lot of money in Peru and other places like that and so forth. The bottom line is that the studies now show, just like the anti-vaxxers, Andrew Wakefield's article of 1998, it was retracted. The Lancet has again, and the New England Journal of Medicine has again retracted this study on ivermectin. And it saddens me because I was hoping that ivermectin could have had some legs, but it does not. But on the program last night, Anisia and Jomo was still pushing the ivermectin. Jomo mentioned that yesterday Gerald Thompson said something's wrong with ivermectin. And Anisia said Gerald Thompson is a liar. You understand? It's a liar. You know? and it wasn't. She said, I don't believe he's ever used ivermectin before. Well, I don't know if I got to get my old passport to show I went to Egypt or certificates or what. I mean, you know, but the point is, I believe that this is it. Now, one other important thing. Over the last month and a half, a lot of the talking points for people have been coming from Fox News. It is amazing that Tucker Carlson has been hitting at vaccination. Over the last week, guess what? Tucker Carlson, Hannity, everybody has turned around. Ever since the Surgeon General, Biden, are saying unvaccinated persons are the heart of this pandemic. That Facebook, social media is killing people. they've now turned around and they've issued statements suggesting and pushing, please, can you vaccinate? So I'm hoping that Anisia and Jomo listen to Fox News, listen to Sean Hannity. I know Anisia does. And basically that, because Jomo says he doesn't look at television, and that what we need is for people to now see that the right wing have been taken. Tucker Carlson, guess what? While he's been saying, don't take the vaccine, it's known that he took the vaccine himself. He took the vaccine himself. And when asked, did you take it? He said, look, if anybody is HIV, you can't ask them about their HIV test. Easy, simple, yes or no, he won't answer it. So a lot of people who are saying they will not take the vaccine secretly, they have been taking it. They've been taking it because of the information that's coming out, whether 97, 99% of people who are becoming infected, it's on the unvaccinated side. I am not going to tell you that nobody who is vaccinated will ever have breakthrough illness, but when they do, what they have is some sneezing, a sore throat, with a headache or runny nose, by and large. And these Delta strains, these other strains, whatever you want to call them, I want to make it clear that if allowed, and I want to say this very carefully, especially in patients who are immunocompromised, the viruses have a propensity to accelerate its mutation. But if more of us vaccinate, we shut it down, we squeeze it down. And even though we're surrounded by immunocompromised persons, the virus has no room to move. All right? So, yes.
I want to, yesterday, I listened to a Vincentian called in the program from the BVI, and he spoke about what is happening in the BVI, the conditions underground there. And that's the telling picture. He said he's an ardent listener to this program and that he didn't believe in the vaccine. But after listening to yourself and Stephen, he made a decision to go and take the vaccine. He spoke about a family who of about 4 or 5, and one may have taken the vaccine and all the others who did not take it died in a household. There's somebody who spoke yesterday on a calling program. And there are people who may be saying, the vaccine, you guys keep talking about the vaccine. No, for me, I'm talking about COVID. Yeah. Okay, and I know why personally I've made my medical condition, I haven't hidden it, that I'm a diabetic, and that for me, it has implications because of that underlying condition. I've got a son as well who is asthmatic, and I scared as hell. Whenever he has to leave the house to go to school now to do his exams, or in general, I'm scared as hell. And I got scared.
Bing, you're breaking up a bit. You want to try again?
Yeah, the music just suddenly went right up. Yeah, the background music suddenly went very loud. Yeah.
All right, we got it.
Yeah. I got scared as hell yesterday when I heard that guy speaking from underground in the BVI. And I pray that what is happening there don't end up here. It really, really, really scares you when you hear these sort of things that are happening. And you hear people from right there calling into the radio in St. Vincent and speaking about what is happening there. It scares the hell out of you, guys.
Bing, I tell you something, I could understand how you feel. I've had the displeasure of having to tell literally hundreds, if not thousands, of patients that they're HIV positive. I've had the displeasure of having to tell people they have cancer. Truthfully, diabetes and high blood pressure may seem easy, but there are even people who call in on this program who I know have much more severe diabetes than yours, who may refuse to take the vaccine when they should. And I'm making an appeal to persons to please do so. I could never knowingly try and recommend something that is evil or poisonous or so to people. I could not do that. Anise was saying that vaccine is pathogenic priming. It's going to make your skin fall off. It's going to make up. We've had 6-7 months of this thing now. People are not dropping like flies. There was predictions by professors after the first month, people will die. Please, the virus is the issue, as Bing says. The virus is what's killing people. That's where the 341 comes from in Trinidad, not from vaccine, the virus. And you know what? This push to get people to take hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin because it's better, it's cheaper, it's simpler. Please, everybody, don't go down that road. Anisia has been promoting colloidal silver. There's a video of her promoting colloidal silver, trying to make a buck. They've got 24-ounce bottles. They got a spray. They got different kind of bottles. They want to sell these kind of products to make $1 to run their programs, to drive, put gas in their car, and so forth. So they've been co-opted in possibly, and I want to say this nation needs to wake up. We don't need to see that 900 people die in Trinidad, or 19 die in BVI, or what's happening in India or other parts of the world. And we're using excuses, a little breakthrough infection in Israel, something happening in different places. These things are serious, we gotta look at them. But here in St. Vincent, a stitch in time will save 9. Prevention is better than cure. Bing, you're taking diabetes medication to help cure and control your diabetes. Medicine is different from a vaccine. A vaccine, you take it and you are priming then your immune system so you can prevent becoming infected by this virus. The vaccine doesn't cause no cancer, doesn't cause none of these ill effects some people be talking about. They're all having a good laugh at people, and they're going and getting the vaccines themselves. Hannity and Carl and Tucker are examples of this. So what I want to say is that we really need to wise up. And people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, you know, I saw something being said that the testing strip has in ethylene oxide and will destroy your nose and so forth. And Joe Mananese going on about this. Don't test. She's telling people, don't test. Don't take a test. The swab, the PCR test we have has not been treated with any ethylene oxide. You know what I mean? No description of that in terms of manufacturing process. And I'm not saying it hasn't been used in other type of products. It's a major sterilizer, but it's not in our test strips. But they're going to use every single method to get people scared. I know it may be said that if I talk about the virus, I'm making people scared. But as a medical doctor, I've never strayed away. If a patient has a cancer, I ain't going to hide it from them. Calling his wife and say, this thing has a cancer. Don't tell him. Don't tell him. You've got to be frank and open with people and tell them the basic facts and information. And that's what we're trying to do. So,
let's take a station idea. I think Steve, I want to get in to speak about something. Dan, let's take the station idea.
All right, let's do this quickly and come back.
Here we go. Boom Summerfest is on. Are you ready? The biggest songs of the summer in a head-to-head battle. every shift, every day.
Never stop if you wanna be on top.
Vote for the biggest song of the summer. Vote for the biggest artist of the summer. The toughest mic men and the biggest DJs in SVG. Playing all the party anthems and hits all day and all night.
No, vice, fat, baby, tap.
We turn up the heat.
Tap in.
Talk English, Spanish, and French. Who let the dogs out?
Let the dog out. Let the dog out. As we play the best dance hall, hip hop, and soca in the Boom Summerfest. Who will rule the summer with the biggest party anthems? The Boom Summerfest is on.
Come on, everyone.
Kilometer.
Yeah, time to dark and we need some sunshine. Yeah, take me back to the time when yard used to nice and everybody could have all our vibes. Party all through the night till sun come to light and yeah. Cause I miss those days when music hits you and you feel no pain and give me music, memory I can't wait. I know that we're locked away, but COVID soon done. We are go ease a little pressure, get a cup and make we drink some rum. COVID soon done. We are go party and hold a little vibes and have some fun. COVID soon done. Oh, I know you're stressed, but know you're blessed. Oh yes, COVID soon done. COVID soon done. COVID soon done. Done. COVID soon done.
OMG in the morning.
And you got to check out Max Pizza and Kitchen in Beckway. They introduce Vinci Pizza delivery every Friday. Place your order by 10 p.m. on Thursday via WhatsApp. You can call or send a message to 528-1854 between 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Or you can call the restaurant at 458-3474 between 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. All orders will be delivered by a Max representative the following Friday at the wharf for 5:30 p.m. upon the arrival of Beckway Express. All right, we're back in the discussion with our panel here. Everybody is good? Let me make sure everybody can hear us and that we can hear you as well.
Yes. I think Stephen.
Right. Yes. My good doctor friend, who many would regard as an intellectual.
Not at all.
Let's talk a little bit about Cuba, shall we? If you have a moment.
I'm from Chateaubriand. I'm a little boy from the alley of Chateaubriand, from Galba. Yes,
Not where you come from that matters, my friend. It's where you end up.
Right.
There's an old saying, Gerald.
Right.
There's an old saying that he who dies with the most toys wins. We're all going to die. Now, my friend, it's interesting that you also, as one of these intellectuals who are busy blaming the United States for everything, how come I've never heard you call on the Cuban government to be more democratic? How come I've never heard you call, Joel, on freeing political prisoners in Cuba? Why have you never called for the formation of a multi-party democracy in Cuba? Go ahead, Jared, I'm listening patiently.
Well, I do want to say that you have to have that particular balance. I think that under the Obama regime, remarkably, and I imagine that sometimes those things happen, there was significant progress in terms of prisoners or persons who may have opposed what is considered revolution. What we have is a group of individuals who are in Miami, who are in Florida, and elsewhere in New Jersey, who have set up a process over the last 50, 60 years to try and harm and destroy what is taking place in Cuba. The things that are done, I mean, the whole process, I'm not talking about Bay of Pigs and so forth, I'm talking about over the years. The processes have not been a one-sided thing where it's just the government of Cuba doing things. There are entities that have been trying to pull them apart. What happened in Haiti? People walking as DEA agents and so forth and shoot down the president. There are things that could take place, and history is rife with these things, Steve. You know what I mean? So that I believe that everything isn't perfect about Cuba, no doubt. But I think that there are a number of things that they have done remarkably well. And the issue you're talking about is about elections. And I tell you something, there's a tremendous amount of elections that take place in terms of councils and so
Oh,
forth.
come on.
Yes. Well, listen, you may disagree with that particular aspect, but that is just one part of the process. And
Okay, good. Now can I comment?
Take that.
Human Rights Watch, World Report 2019, Cuba. Human Rights Watch, my friend. Arbitrary detention and short term. The Cuban government continues to employ arbitrary detention to harass and intimidate critics, independent activists, political opponents, and others. The number of arbitrary short-term detentions increased dramatically between 2010 and 2016, from an average of 172 to 827. The number of arbitrary detentions. So I mean, I don't have any issue with you. I am not in favor of the United States and their embargo, right, against Cuba. I don't think that's a good idea. I think they would have been more effective other ways. My point here is that while all of you intellectuals, my friend, are busy slamming the US government, why are you not also, don't you all care about freedom and democracy and human rights also at that level? Because I don't hear you all slamming the Cuban government for no free press in Cuba. I don't hear that. I don't hear you slamming them for locking up people who disagree with them. That's my point. Sarah. I would like to see you and your fellow intellectuals be more balanced in your approach to Cuba and the United States, and not just be all one-sided all the time like Cuba is some paradise. By the way, you talk about their developments. You can do a lot of stuff when you're a dictator and an autocrat. You know, had you been a dictator in St. Vincent, you could you can mandate that every human gets vaccinated immediately, right? You can do that in Cuba if you want. You could do that. It's an autocratic, non-democratic dictatorship that runs Cuba. That is what is happening, and we shouldn't pretend otherwise while you're busy slamming the United States continuously.
Yes.
Your turn.
Steve, I'll tell you something. It's amazing how when we look at the balance, you see individuals who you term as intellectuals supporting China and mainland China. I don't know. I believe you may be one of those who may be a pro-mainland China promoter. And we have taken an approach that we look more at the freedom of Taiwan and so forth and those people. I lived in the United States. I could understand the issue of Black Lives Matter. I have felt very much on occasions as if a target is also being on my back, irrespective of whether I'm a professional. I don't look at myself so much as an intellectual. I see you as the intellectual, I'll tell you the truth. But I see you as the intellectual, but I wanna say that in every society, I know there are ills. You've picked out a few that you want to focus on. I am not going to be critical of the United States in this overt way on radio because I actually, have resided there. I've got children who live there. But I want to say that there is also a lot of that's going on there. Voting rights. What's taking place in relation to Black people taking away their ability to vote, taking away the ballot box on different traditions that were established over many years, in terms of the right, what's current today, in terms of the Black male. I have talked about last year having to be stopped and keeping my hands on the steering wheel because I know if I try to reach for that license, I could be no longer here speaking to you. So we could go down the road and we could talk about poverty and where this lies, and there may be many reasons for it. But I think too that this is also something that exists in other parts of the world, and we have to root these things out. At the same time, in Africa, I do want to say dictatorships and so forth. I mean, what's happening in South Africa, this is disappointing, very disappointing. What's happening in Nigeria, northern Nigeria.
Dr. Thompson, do you think we've got racism in St. Vincent?
I think that we are post-racism, where in the 50s, 60s, and so forth, where you had white entities owning their estates and so forth, things like that. I think we've gone past it. We do have prejudice. We still have prejudice. We do have an element of some skin color issues from persons. You know, a guy like Steve would be considered much more handsome than an ugly guy like me, Bing, you know what I'm saying? But the thing too is that I think, unlike some other countries, I wouldn't mention a name, where there is a racial divide of huge lots of ethnic differences, you know, you have had greater elements of racism inside that particular country. But I think that we are relatively friendly people. I think that we don't have that level of racism that some people really talk about, but it was probably there in the past. I think to some extent we're over it. But in terms of our own Black consciousness, we need to be able to appreciate that a little bit more. And I think a lot has gone in terms of helping to develop it, just that we need to do more. I am a Garifuna. I am Garifuna. I trace my roots to Deli Francois, one of Chatillier's lieutenants. And when I went to Belize, I tell you something, I was just so, oh gosh, it was unbelievable going down into those villages and so forth and seeing people. I saw a guy, I said, "You from Barely, ain't you? I'm sure I saw you in Barely." He said, "No, this is where I live." The guy looked just like us, and the history and so forth. So besides Black, in terms of our Carib and Garifuna culture, and in terms of our ancestry, you know, I have grown up. My father has sat down when I was growing up in England and taught us a lot about this. But I think that my own consciousness, based on my own experiences, has been there. But getting back to Stephen's point, and yours.
We need to get in some feedback. We need to get in some feedback from the public.
Sure.
Okay,
please.
Yes, we do. So you can go ahead and give us a call at 451-1069. I'm going to go ahead and play a voice note here.
Dr. Thompson, I think you should answer Stephen's questions clearly and definitively, rather than resorting to whataboutism. And this is by no means a personal attack on you, but would you prefer your children to reside in Cuba rather than the United States? And if so, why? And if not, why not?
My kids live with their mother in the United States. And I'll tell you something, if my kids were probably here, there's a strong chance that they may have gone to Cuba to study too. You understand? As a substantial amount of our people have gone to Cuba to study.
But to reside.
When you go to Cuba to study, it's not a matter of residing, because Cuba has that outreach and so forth. I tell you, I do like Cuba. I like that particular culture. When I've gone there, I have gone there as an official, and so they've given me that extra beneficial treatment, so I might get a particular view. But I'm conscious of the difficulties they go through. I'm conscious of the difficulties and hardship they go through. Now, at the same time, I know there are also some people who are here in St. Vincent in poverty, right? And they may well say they prefer to be in Cuba rather than being in St. Vincent. I actually,
you believe that now?
If you want to be in Cuba or NICES, I want to be in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Sorry about that. That's where I want to be. That's why I'm here.
Let's take a quick call. Hello, good morning. All right, that person dropped out. 451-1069 to be a part of the discussion. All right, let's see. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning to your
Hi, Charles.
How are you doing? I want to ask the great doc something here. Is in St. Vincent here, would you say we are divided in St. Vincent?
If what?
We are divided country in St. Vincent, would you say?
I think when you go through all the Caribbean, a lot of the Caribbean are politically divided.
I'm asking about
politically divided. But I don't think we're racial. I agree with Bing. We're not racially divided. I think we do have some political polarization. Yes.
We and would you say that there's racism in St. Vincent?
No, I wouldn't say that there's
You wouldn't?
racism in the strictest sense or from compared to what I've seen. So it may make a mark, but on a scale of 10, compared to other countries that are ranked hardcore racist countries, I say St. Vincent is, I don't think if you think the same way, I think we are down on that low end of the scale. There are people who are racist. Being in St. Vincent, there are people, individuals who are racist. But doesn't mean St. Vincent is a racist country because they're present in St. Vincent.
When I say racist, now when I say that, I mean we have people who are racism in St. Vincent. And our country is not really balanced because we have been divided. And that's something we're trying to build back right now. One more thing before I go. I was listening to a program, and I want you to tell me if this point that I'm making has any values. Because the program I listened to on Sunday with being good friend, Mr. Weeks, he said I was talking foolishness. No, a gentleman was making a point about locals coming in from outside, passing through Barbados. And he was saying that the people are fully vaccinated but have to go in a hotel for 2 days quarantine, right? Now, he said also, when he was going to make the point now, he said, but we have cruise ships will soon be coming back here. If that's of your agenda, would you see that we are going now because people have been vaccinated, that we are going to have cruise ships coming in back to this country in the near future, right? And once these people have been fully vaccinated, a cruise ship only comes to St. Vincent for 1 day. What are you guys going to, you guys, the Ministry of Health of what are going to put in place for when this cruise ship comes into St. Vincent for 1 day? The tourists are going to mingle with our locals, the van drivers, they're going to go into our vans, and they're going to go to the beaches with our people. And yet still, we have a process where we have to quarantine for 2 days to make sure, but they're coming for 1. How are we going to deal with that? And I'm listening off there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Simple. I listened to the program yesterday. I listened to your call, and I'm sorry you weren't able to express your point. But the people who are going on to cruise ship, this is where a fight is going on now in Florida. The CDC had established that persons going on the cruise ships should either be tested or be vaccinated. Some cruise ships are going to have all their passengers vaccinated. And they're looking for countries that when they come to those countries, they want the taxi drivers, they want other people to be vaccinated too. So it's a two-way street that if the cruise ship passengers are vaccinated, then it's okay if the people they interact with are also vaccinated. Now, unfortunately, DeSantis, the governor of Florida, is suing to say that, well, they don't need to do that. But I don't think he's going to win. So as of now, I do believe that the solution is the passengers coming in. If you're able to show the vaccination, then that is fine. When you get onto that ship and so forth, it could be certified. You're still tested as well and so forth. And our folks basically doing the same thing. So I agree with you. You don't want persons coming here willy-nilly, unvaccinated, untested. That is going to be a potential disaster. But I want to point out to you, if you do want your industry to start up, you need to make sure your taxi drivers, the people who are at reception areas, the tour guides are also vaccinated so that they're not only protecting themselves in case, but they're also giving the signal to the visitors that St. Vincent de Grenadines is ready from an economic point of view. I know Steve would like this, from an economic point of view, to open up to those sort of efforts. And Virgin Atlantic also want to see the same thing. And this I think, how we got to go. I hope I've answered your question.
Stephen, let's get you in and then we wrap up, okay? Because we got to take a commercial break.
Yeah, my friend, if I could jump back to the racism comment, all right? Racism is basically defined as making decisions and treating people based upon their skin color, basically, right? And when we're talking racism. Does it exist in St. Vincent? We know tribalism certainly exists in St. Vincent, right? Racism, I think, would be difficult to exist because we don't have a significant population of quote-unquote white people. I know everybody looks at me and says I am white, right? But my grandmother's a black woman. My DNA says I'm 30% from Africa. So am I a white man? You look at me, they might say, yeah, he's a white man, so therefore I'm going to be prejudiced against him. Or I look at a black man, am I going to be prejudiced against him because they have a different skin color? I really think it comes, when you're talking racism, it's really about, are we making decisions based upon people's skin color? I do think that while we may not make overt decisions based upon people's skin color, we are certainly subconsciously making decisions, right? And I go back to what I was saying, we're locking up poor black men who are carrying weed, but we're giving licenses to rich white people to develop weed in our country. I see that as weed hypocrisy. You can call it whatever you like. I also see it as subconscious racism, right? I'm not sure if a rich...
what does that have to do with racism, though, Stephen? Because they're black people.
No, I'm arguing the decision.
We're doing the same thing in St. Vincent, all right?
I want to take a comment here.
Doing that weak thing, that's not racism. To me, that is classism. That is giving protection to certain people. And that has nothing to do with racism.
That's a valid point. Ben, you're right. You're correct. That's a valid point. I will withdraw my comment. I will withdraw my comment because that's a very valid point you made. Okay.
Can I come in here, please?
Yes, sir. Come in.
Because Stephen, as I know, is a capitalist and so forth and pro-business. I am also pro-business. May not be as capitalistic as you, Stephen, but I can't comment on these particular issues. But I do know of a case.
Why not? Why can't you comment? Why?
Because I'll tell you why in just a moment. I do know of a case, and I'll just give the outline, where employees of a particular company went back in and tried to reap. It was caught on camera, and they were detained. Now, because I know these things are going to end up going to court, I basically want to make sure that they are given all the arm's length. I don't want to discuss these particular cases. First of all, I don't have all the details, but I know of enough details of this particular case not to go on public radio and discuss the details. I imagine that Grant Cardell may eventually get involved in. These are the type of cases he gets involved in sometimes. But
just because you are the CEO of the industry of the marijuana industry company,
it is true that basically. So I would know about the details, but just a slight deviation for what Stephen is. It's not a normal traditional cultivator. It's someone. Let's say if someone was working on a particular farm and they came back in the middle of the night and decided to steal, mask, and so forth, but still caught on camera. And that's about as much as I could say, or I would be breaching certain protocols with respect to cases. But it's slightly different from what Stephen may be pushing. And we have a process called tolerance here, where basically a number of things are accepted. Maybe at some point in time, not this week, I'll be able to come back and talk a lot more about what's happening.
I think the point that Stephen really wants to make is that there are young men who are still being...
That used to be happening.
Police don't pick up young men for weed right now on the block and all these things.
I think that what we have is a protocol where, in terms of persons, they're encouraged, because it's not recreational cannabis is not fully legalized, you will find the police do, but the police are not arresting persons.
So what are they doing? So when we hear young men being taken to court and are charged, what is that?
You have to look at the specific detail. I just gave you one of those, right? I just gave you one of those details. Now, at the same time,
they're charged with possession, though.
Look, possession is one thing, but what you would tend to find in terms of charges that may come through is trafficking. So an individual who's looking to ship things over to a neighboring island or so, things like that, and they've been found or caught or so, then there are certain protocols of dealing with that. I tell you something, I would love to discuss these matters in full, but I want to just point out what Stephen had presented in relation to what he heard recently may not quite be the facts. And I was just making that particular difference, that if somebody in, let's say, Mustique, someone breaks into a home and steals, what should happen? Or if they break into a supermarket or so and try to steal and so forth, maybe a past employee, what should be done? I want to bring those particular parallels in that regard. And so, Stephen, it may be possible that what you are saying may not be exactly the case, and you don't have all the facts.
Let me wrap up, because I know we need to wrap up. Okay. So Bing, I would like us at some point in next week or two to come back to marijuana and what our government is doing. All right,
okay.
And not doing.
I'll be able to talk about it.
We need to stop that. We need to stop the stupidity. But while we may not have racism in this country, what we have is tribalism. We have a yellow tribe and a red tribe, and that's far worse than the racism we have in this country. And on that note, I'll wrap it up. Thank you, Danny. Thank you.
One last thing.
Oh, I need to take a break, Doc.
Please, one last thing.
Badly.
Don't take hydroxychloroquine. Don't take ivermectin. Vaccinate.
No, I don't know where to get that. Where do I get that? How do I go to the pharmacy and want?
Listen, I know by publicizing it may promote it, but it is. If you want me to come back and give a program about ivermectin, I have used it. I know it. And
all right,
basically, don't take it for COVID. It does not work.
Got you. I promise
All right, thank you so much. Thank you to our panel. We're going to jump out and take a quick break and come back with your comments and your phone calls.
If you have thought and you debated about getting vaccinated, thinking should you do it? Now's a great time to get to it, because if you choose to get the shot, we're gonna thank you quite a lot with a $50 gift card for topping up your phone and helping to make things here COVID-free zone. Yes, a $50 thank you if you decide on vaccination. Go to grenadinesinitiative.org for information. That's grenadinesinitiative.org. Thanks.
Isn't it good to know that no matter where you are, you're covered by a company owned by Vincentians that understands your unique insurance needs? At Metrosint General Insurance Company, we've invested 50 years of service to guarantee that you have the peace of mind that you deserve. When it comes to motor vehicle, property, employer's liability, business insurance, and much more, we've got you covered. Our professional and friendly staff understands your needs and ensures you understand your options. Metrosint General Insurance Company. Call us today at 784-456-1821 or email us at metrosint@fintisurf.com.
Here we go. Boom Summerfest is on. Are you ready? The biggest songs of the summer in a head-to-head battle. Every shift, every day.
Never stop if you want to be on top.
Vote for the biggest song of the summer. Vote for the biggest artist of the summer. The toughest mic men and the biggest DJs in SVG. Playing all the party anthems and hits all day and all night.
Low bass, back, baby, tap in.
We turn up the heat.
Tap in.
Talk English, Spanish, and French. Who let the dogs out?
Let the dogs out. Let the dogs out. As we play the best dance hall, hip hop, and soca in the Boom Summerfest. Who will rule the summer with the biggest party anthems? The Boom Summerfest is on.
Greetings. This is your boy Luther, the crowd motivator. I just like you to know that during this whole COVID-19 pandemic, we had to let go some things. You see the handshaking? We had to let go that thing. Mass gathering, we had to let go that thing. Partying, or the clubbing, we had to let go that thing. Crowd a man by the bar drinking, boys on the block liming, we had to let go that thing. The overseas traveling, yeah man, let go that thing. Public coughing and sneezing without protecting, yeah man, let go that thing. But you know we can't let go everything, we must keep something. So the hand sanitizing, you had to keep that thing. Social distancing, you had to keep that thing. Boosting your immune system, top up on your vitamin, yes, keep that thing. But in all this, don't forget the Almighty King, because He is the ruler over everything. So go on your knees, pray and sing and stop panicking. Be safe out there, everyone.
This PSA is coming to you with the kind compliments of General Hardware.
The National Lotteries Authority introduces the Lotto app
for all Android and iPhones. Your free download available at NLASVG.com. Whether it's home, work, or simply having fun, get all NLA game results at your fingertips. View all draws of the National Knowledge Authority on your handset or tablet with the user-friendly Lotto app. Download today at NLASVG.com. The Lotto app.
Are you a person who cares for your hair 100%? Well, you should check out Denatures for the best hair product. They offer a wide variety of chibi powders, cocoa oils, chibi moisturizer cream, chibi shampoos, and Ambuno conditioners. Products can be found at Bowman's Pharmacy, Island Health Pharmacy, Arnesville, Roy's Pharmacy, Georgetown, Union Island, Beckway, Canouan. And for more information, please feel free to contact 1-876-836-7156. For the best care in hair, please check out Denatures.
The Boom Summerfest is on, playing all the party anthems.
Baby, I love you. It's true. Say we toxic. Full of toxic love. Cause when I say we done, you say we done, then we back together. If that makes us toxic, we don't give up. Cause baby, at least we know it's real.
All of my property, all of my money, oh, it not mean anything if I don't have you. Cause you are my everything, and I'm gonna do anything, but put that on everything, oh, for you. If I give you all my love, and would you treasure? Would you cherish it and never let me go? Cause you're not gonna find someone to love you better, oh. If I want to never certain, I want to you. Make I go love you, Jaja, Jaja, Jaja. Make I go love you, tender, 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 tender. Make I go love you, Jaja, Jaja, Jaja. Make I go love you, tender, tender, oh, tender, oh. My love, they eternal, eternally, eternally, eternally. I love you for eternity. Oh, my love, they eternal, eternally, eternally, eternally. I love you for eternity. I'll swim the deepest ocean to show my devotion, yeah. You know, see me open like a window, my love. I go walla for you. You know, see me feel you. Baby, that body, they good, oh. Nah, nah. If I give you all my love, and would you treasure? Would you cherish it and never let me go? Cause you're not gonna find someone to love you better, oh. If I want to live for certain, I want to you. Make I go love you, Jaja, Jaja, Jaja. Make I go love you, tender, 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 tender. Make I go love you, Jaja, Jaja, Jaja. Make I go love you, tender, tender.
And your door is wide open. Whatever you believe, no matter how strong, glass can be broken. You think you know all these things, but in your life is living secretly. When there's glass in your home, don't throw stones. So you wanna hurt me, you wanna make my life a living hell. I don't have to worry, there's hardly anything that you can tell. Whenever someone trusts you with their secrets, you shouldn't go around to others and reveal it. No, 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 no. But don't throw stones at my window, and your door is wide open. Whatever you believe, no matter how strong, glass can be broken. But you may think you know secretly. When there's dirt in your home, don't throw stones.
OMG in the morning.
Line up for these exciting offers from the East Caribbean group of companies. Nuts and Ram get a pack of nuts with your purchase of 4 Village Ram. And you can also buy 5, get 1 free Island Sips. Buy 5 bottles of Island Sips, 350 milliliter water, and get 1 free. Offer available in selected supermarkets while stocks last. Village Ram, not for lambs, Island Sips, bottle.
I want to tell you also.
What you want to say? You want to say something on the time in.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to get cussed straight, but it's all right. So you just played a Winston today, right?
Yeah.
That's a Winston today. What's it called? Don't Throw Stones.
Yeah, don't trust stones.
I'm telling you, Mike, no man, what kind of strippiness is this?
Yeah. Don't trust stones, Mike.
Right. So yesterday, remember we did that. Special Winston Soso.
Yes.
Passing, right? And I remember you played a Winston Soso set, right?
Yeah.
you know, Louis started to cry.
So why you laughing? Let me take a call. F4511069. Why you laughing? Why is that funny?
Because
oh, you terrible.
Horrible.
He is.
Horrible human.
What? And what's wrong with that? Don't say nothing, eh? Best you don't say anything. Hello, good morning. We have a call on the line. Hello, good morning.
Yes, I like that, Danny. You tell Bing he has a call on the line and this is bigger.
Hey, buddy. Bigger. You go understand, right? Imagine, right? Hey, you play Winston set. Listen to me. Imagine Shady play Winston set of music, right? And she started to cry because the music reminds her of a time in her life, that era. I'm like,
wait, and you've laughed?
And you feel that funny, baby?
But I should cry.
Oh, he is.
Bigger, don't try that.
I know.
You don't laugh to Bigger.
Winston, watch me.
Bigger, I know you don't laugh to. Don't
Bigger, ignore him. Make your contribution, please.
Bigger, you would have laughed too. You would have laughed. No,
do not listen to Billy.
Imagine that.
I
She's
know
not the ball.
Watch me.
I used
to be at DJ at time, and I thought that I would have heard and played all. When I said DJ, not in the class, in my old time, when I played secondary school, I got the thing that TDK.
He's still going on. I'm about to mute you.
TDK CD and Maxwell CD.
Yeah.
I talking about those days. So like no, you know what I mean? So I used to the CD to people. So bring me alone. So so Winston Soso song was one of the most demand song by those persons that used to do those cassettes, alright? So I thought I would have played and heard all of Winston Soso song until I heard that one yesterday. On Sunday and I like how Bing gives a program the name Worship Ralph program. I heard it play Don't Trust Stone, and that song, boy, it has a lot of lyrics. Melody is so sweet. That song, Shady, Don't Trust Stone, I want to thank you this morning. I am willing to make that my ringtone. Trust me, that song by Winston Soso, Don't Trust Stone. Wonderful song, we tell you. And now, Bing, leave Louise alone. Watch me. The lady has been reminded because all of us have had our life. That when you remember when something brought our memories and brought back those to make us want to cry. That shows that she's a woman and she's a human. That's what it has shown to me. That she's a woman and she's a human.
Thank you, Bigger. We appreciate that.
Not woman alone, men too. As a men, we have that soft spot so that we remind us that we are just human being, bring the human alone. Now I heard my counsel this morning, I'm so proud of him, speaking about the issue of prime ministership and everything in this country. Although, for me, I don't have any problem if the prime minister of our country is black or white until when Ralph Gonzalez come into us. That is, he is what makes me start to see color in terms of governance. Because it never bothered me, honestly. But when we have forces who treat us, we black people, like if we are dogs, then is when we start to get problems.
So, Bega, you're really called to blame Ralph?
I mean, I'm blaming Ralph, yes. Because here is Daniel. When Ralph Gonzalez put it on the student, and then it reminds me, please, tell me that clip of that Christmas Eve interview I had with Ralph, when Ralph sat in your studio right there with you and said that
he's not the prime minister.
You would have gotten to shut down my business could have been wrong. But the way the government went about shutting it down, it wasn't wrong. I want to tell me that quickly. Because imagine hey buddy, tell me.
Gotta wrap up.
When Ralph said he's
tell me that clip, please. Tell me that clip.
I thought you were going to tell me to send the clip when Ralph said the same Christmas Eve in that studio day. He's the blackest politician in St. Vincent.
Well, that's what me. Because Ralph could take me by make their fool, but you don't make him no fool. Tell me that clip, please. And I good music, man. Don't just I love that song, me tell you, man.
All right, thank you, Bega.
All
right, so we do have one quick message from my box, and we're going to come right back with the pastor. You're going to bring us a little piece of the song first? Go ahead.
I can't do no more kind thing, you know. Don't play no more so if you only play
I'm muting you.
Whatever you believe, no matter how strong glass can be broken. You think you know all these things, but in your life is living secretly. When there's glass in your home, don't so strong.
Have you ever wanted something but can't get it in St. Vincent and the Grenadines? Sign up with MyBox and receive a free US mailing address and shop from any website for amazing deals. With just a few clicks, I can go from whoa to wow. With great rates, shipment twice a week, hassle-free, my son can now get his PS5 really fast. We even deliver to you no matter where you live. Contact us today at 533-2501 or sign up with MyBoxShipping.com. MyBox. You buy, we ship.
Let's check in with the dot and look at things with a wider lens. Pastor Richards on OMG.
All right, we're going to wait on our call from Dr. Richards. He should be joining us right
in
about
the meantime,
now.
can I finish telling you this story, please? Doc is there yet?
No, unfortunately. Doc, call quickly, please.
So let me finish telling you this story, right? When she started to ball along the place because she hears Princess some music, right? I said that it took she back for error and this and that and this. So she bawling. So I said to her,
Pastor is on the line. Hello, good morning.
Dr. Richard.
He's on the line.
Yes, good morning.
Morning, Doc. Doc.
Good morning. Yes.
Okay, can I finish this, what I was saying? I know you want to comment on it because you counsel people. So you want to comment on it.
I don't know. Is it a matter that you want to refer privately?
No, I don't mind. I don't start to get cussed already, so it's all right. So yesterday, when Shady started playing the Winston Susu music in honor of Winston Susu, right? Louis started the ball on the place. So I said, well, you know what? She said, well, it took you back to a time and an era and this and this and this. She balling. So I turned to her and said, but I thought your father said all the eye water done. Clearly, you have plenty.
I won't touch that, okay? Two of my friends be talking about you and Louise. I'll leave that for you all, okay? I apologize if I called a little bit late. I was and all of a sudden I heard my drop being played. I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me! That's my drop. So I was hustling to reorient and recalibrate. So forgive me if I call a little bit later. I just want to say a couple of things here this morning. And please don't judge me by this. I'm offering perspectives, and I hope I don't betray my position necessarily on this, because if I usually like to say things that not necessarily my position, but things to make you think, right? So the fact that I say it, I'm giving all of this preamble. The fact that I say this doesn't mean that I am for it or against it. I'm just putting it out there. On the matter of Cuba, because that, and I spoke about that recently, what's happening in Cuba. I just read a little bit at the end of one of my programs. And I asked Bing a question about our official position on Cuba. Now, let me preface what I'm about to say here with two statements that are truisms. This first truism: what you fail to denounce, you accommodate. What you fail, just think about it, and it applies to a lot of things in life. What you fail to denounce, you accommodate. And the second truism is, what you admire, you emulate. I said those as preface statements to the discussion that we've been having in Cuba and St. Vincent's official position on Cuba, which is one of, well, you can decide if it is one of denouncing, or it is one of admiration. And you can make up your mind on that. But in our St. Vincent's most recent statement on Cuba, which I had asked on one of my programs, can I encourage you all to read that statement? The St. Vincent people, the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we have a position on what is causing the protest in Cuba. Our position as Vincentian on this is that it is fueled by unlawful imperialist economic sanctions. And this protest is carried out by a small minority in a nation of 11 million people. So let that be clear. Let it also be clear that our position on this thing is foreign interference. It is a matter of foreign interference. In fact, foreign interference in this internal affair is entirely unacceptable. And it is to be rejected in the context of the inhumane, harsh, unilateral, and we know which is the one that is being referred to in the unilateral, externally imposed, that's a key phrase. These things externally imposed and illegal sanctions. The people who try to intervene are pious, hypocritical, and self-serving in their imperial advocacy, trying to interfere and trying to posture humanitarian intervention in Cuba when what they're doing is illegal. They are pious, hypocritical, self-serving. That is our view. What you fail to denounce, you accommodate. What you admire, you emulate. The admiration for the Cuban Revolution is embraced, well, purportedly by the St. Vincent's people. It is well known that the Cuban Revolution, which is the embodiment of the whole of the Cuban people, has brought with it and accomplished immense socio-economic transformation for the better, as has brought internationalist solidarity. It has contributed steadfastly to the global struggle for all peoples for freedom and liberation, for the defense of sovereignty and independence. That is the microcosm of what is happening in Cuba. This revolution is all about all-round social and material development of dozens of countries, not just Cuba, and especially in the Caribbean, Latin America, Africa, Asia, and the Pacific. Cuba is purported to be a model. That's how we see Cuba. What you admire, you imitate, emulate. The position is our position as a country, because I asked Bing about foreign policy the other morning, and he said, well, who you vote for, you get their foreign policy. In other words, by default. So the foreign policy, what Bing was saying, is it's the thinking, the inherent thinking, the political ideology, and I've spoken about this time and again, that people don't vet political ideology before they vote on a party. Political ideology runs deep within the core of those who lead you. So I don't know that people have found it very wise to investigate political ideology. But political ideology is demonstrated. It is evidenced through foreign policy. That's one of the ways in which you can look at and discern someone's political ideology being. You look at who their partners are, who they associate. The Bible says, by your friends, you know them, you know people by the company you keep. So political ideology and political thinking is mirrored and reflected through foreign policy relations. For example, it's not just a matter of looking at how we view Cuba and the Cuban Revolution. How do we view Venezuela? What's our relationship with Venezuela? What's our relationship with Bolivia and the Bolivian people and Bolivian government? What's our relationship, Denise? I mean, just asking these things. What's our relationship? Okay, Libya the other day. There was a time I was really concerned about that. But we don't hear too much about Libya, but there has been an historic relationship with Libya. True. So you watch these governments and you watch the outcomes of what these governments are doing, and you are thinking, we have an admiration for Cuban government, Venezuelan government, Libyan government. Palestine too, that's of particular interest to me from a biblical perspective, but I don't talk enough about it. And these countries that I just listed there have one thing in common. All right, they all have been blackballed by the West and the Western press, and so there's a particular view of Cuba that is akin to the view of Venezuela, that is similar to the view of Bolivia, and has congruence with how Libya is seen. But what is remarkable, Bing, Anthony, what is remarkable is that despite whatever is happening and the protest now that you're seeing in Cuba, it is a reminder of the protest that you were seeing in Venezuela. Our government and our country's position on both, let me stay close to home without talking about Bolivia and Libya right now. Our government's position on both, foreign policy position, is that we are a friend to the people and the government. That these conditions are externally imposed and have nothing at all to do with repressive governments, have nothing to do with internally imposed or internally generated shortages and inefficiencies and da-da-da. These are all external. I read from the country's statement issued by Prime Minister Gonsalves a while ago. That's what I was reading from. And all I can think of is, Vincentian people, this is what we endorse, okay? This is what we support, how Cuba is governed and how Venezuela is governed and et al. This is what we admire as a country, and perhaps even this is what we want as a country, because what you admire, you tend to imitate and emulate. So we are left to decide, I'm going to close now. We are left to decide, therefore, if we stand by these statements that have been put out officially, if we really feel, and I have expressed very strongly when it was just Venezuela, my opinion on that, on the blockade, on the seizure of Venezuelan state assets. I've talked about that. I've talked about the sanctions. I've talked about the blackballing by the Western press and what was being done to Venezuela and how unfair it was. But that was a personal position. We as a country are left to decide whether there is something amiss in Venezuela or something amiss in Cuba, whether or not we as a country are showing solidarity with a repressive government in Venezuela and a repressive government. Let me make sure I say this clearly. Whether we are showing solidarity with a repressive government in Cuba and a repressive government in Venezuela. Because if that is the case, and the choice is binary. The choice is binary. It's one or the other. It is either that there is something amiss in the government and the governance in Cuba and Venezuela that is causing these protests, or that, according to our statement as a country, these things are generated by externally imposed sanctions by an imperialist, self-serving, imperialistic, unilateral acting government. And if we adopt that position and show empathy to that position, it reflects an ideology, it reflects a mindset that we are already accommodating. The choice is binary. Is something amiss that needs redress and it's internal? Or is something happening there that is externally imposed? And we, as we watch and listen to these things unfold, we make up our mind. But please know this, our position is that we are in full admiration of the Cuban Revolution, the socio-economic transformation, the betterment of the people there, and all that they do for the world. And basically, what you admire, you emulate. Let me leave it there and let people think this one through. I hope I didn't betray a position on this, okay?
Doc, no, you haven't. You're expressing your thoughts. And I'm just thinking out loud. If there was no embargo, do you think the people would still be protesting? Or the people would have protested?
Being embargoes are imposed for a reason. Economic sanctions are imposed for a reason. Trade blockades and economic blockades are imposed for a reason. And they're usually imposed by the powerful because they work. These mechanisms, because they work, have been employed by the more powerful countries with the backing of whether it's the G7 or other forces, but they're done in collusion and collaboration in order for them to work. When they work, when an economic, please understand me, because I just put some thoughts out, I didn't even go into any depth, but when an economic blockade works well, when trade sanctions and embargoes work well, they create immense social pressure and instability, and that's why they're used. In fact, governments have been unseated because Maslow's theory hierarchy, when elementary needs of housing and food and shelter and all of these things are denied, it affects the social equilibrium of the people, creates an incredible amount of instability, in which case sometimes, and this encroaches on sovereignty now, because in order to get back to a state of equilibrium, you almost always have to rely on the very people who are imposing the sanctions to be your savior. It's the way it is set up. It's geopolitics. Being these things work. Of course, if you ask me, of course, the economic sanctions work. I'm trying not to betray my position. Of course, the blockades work. They're doing what they're supposed to do.
So, Doc, from your following of the situation in Cuba, do you think the people are protesting the revolution or the lack of supplies because of the embargo?
The common denominator in all humanity is human needs, and they're deeper than political needs. And political ideology. Maslow is right. In his pyramid, the political needs and political ideology and all of that is higher order stuff of the pyramid. And people right now, they're feeling something that is happening to them. And one of the commentators commented on it. I mean, all is not utopia in Cuba. Basic, when you have to line up for basic things, when you can have basic amenities and that, and that is a reality. So Cubans are protesting, I think, because of their reality. And especially since this new guy is on the scene now, I think the more distant you get from Fidel, he went to his brother and then to this new guy. The more distant you get from Fidel, the less allegiance and loyalty to the revolution, frankly speaking. Bing. It is not easy to diagnose, but all I know is that in the geopolitical war, or what negotiations, whatever you want to call it, there are tools and pressure points and things to be used and power to be wielded, and it has effects. And these powerful tools are always wielded by the powerful. Why do you think the millions of assets, billions for Venezuela has been either seized or frozen? What do you think happens when that is done? If all of your assets were to be tied up, you can't pay your workers, you can't do anything. Shut down your station. If the bank, which is powerful, was decide to do that thing, I'm telling you, these things, Venezuela did not just sink into this abyss overnight. Okay? These were deliberate foreign policy moves by the powerful Venezuela it's a long history. I don't have the time to talk about it.
Doc, is it a chicken and egg situation?
Of course.
What will cause the embargo? And
of course. If you can play ball, you have, okay, let's go back to the, you want to go back to the Bay of Pigs invasion? You remember that Russia-Cuban missile crisis?
Yes.
You have Cuba right in your backyard espousing, and we're going back to the Cold War days, back to when Russia, the Soviet Republic at that time, was a big player. And what you have is a friend of these socialists in your backyard, and the language and the narrative in the United States at that time was commie pig and anybody, communist pig. And Cuba was a threat. Cuba was a satellite, basically, or seen and perceived as a satellite for the Russia. You can't have that with missiles in your backyard. You have to quell that. You have to kill that. You have to squash that. You have to. It's protection of your way of life, protection of your own sovereignty, protection of your own people, protection of your turf. You're going to do it. And you use whatever tools are at your disposal, whether economic or political or military, but you use whatever tools are at your disposal to do this. You got to protect it's basically this. You have to protect your way of life. Same thing is happening in Australia on a different where what the government did to the Aborigine people. I mean, people protect their way of life. It's a given, and you use your force and your power and your strength to do that. If you look at in comparison, which is why there's so much admiration for Cuba, because look at the size and might of America compared to the size and might of Cuba. And basically, Cuba stood up to the big boy. And so there was a lot of romanticism and a lot of admiration there for Cuba. And there are people who wish that there are other countries that could stand up to the big boys like Cuba did and like Venezuela. But you pay a price, though. You pay a price for that. You pay a price. You pay a price for that. This will lead into another argument where there are many other matters concerning geopolitics that are being played out under the surface that we don't know. But they have their way. The G20 or the G7 or the Group of 8 now, because I think they're adding back Russia. But the Group of 8, they have concerns and they have a game plan. And we have to play ball on every issue, whether it's from vaccine to education, because again, what they deem to be the right way to do education is being filtered down to all of us, and that is associated with grants and developmental processes and development money. You have, the big countries, the powerful, have all of the means, economic and political and military might and everything to turn the screws to make sure that the smaller players play ball. And if you don't play ball, there is a price to be paid. Everybody knows that. But how can we argue with them for wanting to front their own interests? How can we argue with them for wanting to defend their way of life that has worked for them? How can we argue with them for being nationalistic or even patriotic? How can we argue with them? If we were in the same position, we'll do the same too. Enough.
Thank you, Doc. Catch you tomorrow morning.
Think through these things. Think through these things. All right, bye.
Have a good day.
I see Mr. Rhodes, former ambassador to Cuba, making a comment that it's pity we don't take calls. Listen, we do take calls. We know that we've got a problem with persons trying to call and not getting through. So I suppose he's been trying, but on your end, the phone is ringing, but on our end, we're not seeing it. The call is not coming through. Ambassador Rose, if you want to try one last time, please, one last time and see if you can get through. It's not that we don't take calls. We do not take calls. We do take calls. Some people get through, some people don't. So when you hear it's ringing in your ear, on our end, we're not getting the call coming through.
And also, it's important for us to know that we can't identify who's calling. So
yeah, we don't have a caller ID.
All right, let's see if we have him on the line. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Danny. How you doing? Dexter Rose here.
I'm good. How are you?
Morning, Ambassador.
Not bad, not bad.
I know you may not be happy with me this morning.
Well, I'm going to take the lead of Stephen yesterday. I'm going to consult my lawyer by calling my name.
Because that your lawyer may just happen to be my lawyer.
But I don't know. I can't afford a lawyer these days. I don't know. I have a good skin guy who I can deal with.
All right, Ambassador, let's go quickly because we're out of time already. I just want to accommodate you this morning.
Okay. I'll very quickly, I would say, understanding the Cuban issue.
Hold on, Ambassador. Dan, just pull on the music in the back, please, a little bit. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Ambassador.
Yes, understanding the Cuban issue is not that very simple, but it's very important, and I think Dr. Richard addressed a bit of it. The economic blockade in Cuba was meant to make the economy scream. The same thing was applied to Michael Manley's government in Jamaica, and he lost as a result. It is being applied to Venezuela also, and it creates tremendous difficulties. But when you have an economic blockade, the blockade in Cuba doesn't only tell the Cuban people that you can't receive goods from the country that has been traditionally, when I say traditionally, from the time the Cubans got independence from Spain, which they fought for, the Americans came in and took over the country. So Cuba was supposed to be an American satellite. Fidelity took office after Batista had been in office. Batista had been known to be a dictator, but he was a good dictator for the United States. and they're dictators and they're dictators. This is it's not a simple thing. So, by and large, I've lived in Cuba. I lived in Cuba as a student, as an ordinary student among Cubans. I lived there in the 80s, which were considered the greatest years of the Cuban process, because that was the time when the Cuban government and people felt least the direct impact of the embargo, because they were being supported by Comecon bloc, the communist bloc, the Soviet Union. We were students there. There were always a lot of supermarkets, all this packed restaurants, all this packed with things, because they were getting assistance from the foundation. Okay, Bernard, do we different now?
Yes, Ambassador. I wanted to ask you as well too, but you answered the question, right? I wanted to ask you why the people are protesting and why the protest is going both ways. Why some are for and some are against? Is that normal?
It's not normal in any country for people to be hungry. And if we cut you off tomorrow, and we cut off your electricity tomorrow, and you can't get food, and you can't watch TV, and you can't go to a restaurant, all of a sudden things that didn't seem too important to you anymore suddenly become very important. And you've heard the prime. Go ahead.
So it's not about the management of the economy there, per se. It's about
there are
outside.
Bing wasn't saying there are problems with the management because, like I said, you build up a siege mentality. The Cuban government this country has never been allowed to breathe, has never been allowed to operate under normal circumstances. This blockade, by the way, and some people poo-poo decided this blockade has been voted against over 30 years now by the majority of nations of the United Nations, except the United States of America and Israel. When Obama was in office for the first year, even the U.S., they didn't vote against the blockade, but the U.S. abstained because President Obama came and Obama said, this policy of trying to make the Cuban people suffer is only hurting the Cuban people. We must do things differently. So what did Obama do? Obama just took some simple measures, Obama started allowing Americans, democratic United States, has been telling their citizens, you can't go to Cuba as you like. The democratic United States. And for example, hold on.
Ambassador, quickly, because we're all the time. We're going past our time. Right? What about the dictator leadership in Cuba? Does that matter at all to you?
Well, we can discuss the people corrupt themselves as a dictator too.
No, but dictator in the true sense of a dictator.
No, but I don't know, but everything is relative. Because the Cubans will tell you they have a certain system and the system functions a certain way. I remember when Parnell Campbell came to visit and I was ambassador. Parnell was shocked when he understood how the political system operates there. I mean,
all right.
And we can't explain it in 2 minutes. Whether is it preferred or not, but that's what I'm saying. Is dictatorship, is Saudi Arabia dictatorship? It's a dictatorship that has plenty money. So you can have plenty.
But Ambassador, clearly, there is a large subsection of the population of Cuba who are not for that style of politics. Clearly.
Well, who is to decide that? The last time they had elections, 80-something% of persons voted for and elected people all about.
But could that also be out of faith? Could that also be out of faith because of the system and how the system has been over the number of years?
Well, where's the fair on Sunday? Where's the fair on Sunday?
All right, Ambassador. I wish we had more time. We really
simply, when people are hungry, they would rise up against whoever's in office. And you can write me time and we can talk with time and explain and go into issues, right? But thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Ambassador. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Okay. Ambassador was giving his perspective and his intelligence from living in Cuba and from being on the ground in Cuba, from his view. All right. I know we way all the time, Dan. We must apologize to Jill. Is she already there?
Definitely.
Come on, Carmen. Let me see you.
No. All right, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And anyone that was trying to come in and we did not have an opportunity to get you, we do apologize. Hopefully tomorrow we'll be able to get you on with us. All right, so have a great day, Bing. You have a great day. People have things to tend to. Yeah, all of us not home.
Catch you tomorrow morning.
Okay,
good.
Here we go. Boom Summerfest is on. Are you ready?